Welcome to the 43rd episode of the Nerdom and Other Nonsense Anime Podcast. Today, we're going over the Winter 2018 season's 9th and 10th week of shows. As a reminder, we also always include timestamps in the description of the YouTube video and in the podcast feed if you only want to hear about one or two specific shows, because we spoil literally everything. My name is Bcom, and please do not tell your friends that Chihayafuru Season 3 got announced. It's a terrible show, and only terrible people enjoy it. Also with me, your Kat and Leo.
Yo.
Hey.
What's that show even about?
It's about being the best anime ever made. No, Chihayafuru is about like a girl who falls in love with a Japanese card game.
Is she a Moe girl?
Game.
She's a Moe girl. Come on. Why did you even have to ask?
She's not really like a Moe girl, but like there's another girl in the show named Kana Oe who's like a little bit more Moe.
Okay, so we know why he likes it then. It had the Moe girl.
Not why I like it. It's like the best sports show ever made. How about that?
It's not a fucking sports show. Okay, that's like me saying that March Comes In Like a Lion is a sports show, which I know better than to say. So
March Comes In Like a Lion is a sports show.
Okay, it's not. It's
also a lot of other
show.
things at the same time. It's like a drama as well. But yeah.
Yeah, but I also heard you talk very highly about comic girls, and that got shot down pretty badly yesterday. So
tell us again about how you didn't like comic girls, and then we can like play it back to you, like exactly what you said.
I think you really need to listen. By the way, what they're referring to is we recorded a preview podcast that will be coming out a few days after this podcast. So you can look forward to that. It's the spring 2018 season preview. And I'm not looking forward to Comic Girls. Except there's a couple reasons why I might be looking forward to Comic Girls, which I've detailed. And then people got super pissed at me for even thinking that Comic Girls might be good.
I'm not looking forward, but I might be looking forward. What bullshit is this?
You started off so strongly for that show, and by the time we ended that conversation, you were like, I have made a terrible mistake.
You just see him trying to backtrack.
That conversation was pretty hilarious. I recommend listening to that one.
Yeah, especially that one.
One other note, by the way, we're trying to get Senpai to notice us on iTunes. So if you've been like enjoying our podcast for a while and you've been listening to us over there, like, hey, help us out. Go give us a review. We'd really appreciate that because, we'll get noticed more by the senpais.
I think you're being too nice, right? Like, listen, bitches, you've been listening to us. Like, you can take 5 minutes now. You can pause it, right? And just go write the review. And I'll even read it, like, on the podcast. And it'll be good for everyone.
You said in your sexy voice you'd do it, right?
Yes, yeah, I will. How about that?
Cool.
Bcom is too nice with y'all.
All right, let's start off with Sundays then. You take it away, Kat.
Okay, so we got Kokkoku. We got 9 and 10 here. Episode 9. So, like, it starts out, you remember how Sagawa went all like serial killer lane on like his whole like cult and like killed most of them. So like the blonde dude's like laying in the grass like in the backyard like, oh fuck, I'm gonna die, and he like freaks out and turns into a herald, and I'm like, oh, you poor dude, like you didn't sign up for this shit, right? I kind of felt bad for him. And then in the meantime, Juri's group is like freaking out because if you remember, like Sagawa stole the grandpa's blood, and everyone's all like, oh, what is he gonna do? And in the meanwhile, like Sagawa's doing like this weird creepy voodoo shit with the blood. He's like, haha, I'm gonna do this thing. And like they're freaking out. Juri is like, well, we can prevent this if I can teleport with grandpa to the Hulk, so like we can stop them from expelling. Well, that's
I'm so glad that you're
like.
just calling him the Hulk now, because that's what he is.
So, like, she wants to teleport, and of course, Grandpa's, like, in pain because they've done this weird voodoo thing, and he's being expelled. And Juri's like, you gotta pull yourself together, and we're gonna go now. And, like, they managed to do it. So, when they get to the stone, okay, imagine Bcom. Imagine, yes. I want you to close your eyes and imagine this. You've just performed...
okay, eyes closed.
some high-level voodoo stuff to get rid of one of your enemies.
I do this all the time. Okay.
Yeah. You do. You're waiting for it to be finished, right? It's not complete yet. Mm-hmm. What do you do while you wait for it to work?
I play Fate Grand Order on my phone.
That is actually acceptable as long as you sit and play it. That's fine. But I'll tell you what Sagawa does. He's like, you know what I should do while I wait? I should go outside the house and stand in the street like a fucking dumbass and like leave the stone inside unprotected. Because like, what could go wrong, right?
I didn't get that either. And they knew full well they could teleport inside there. So I saw that too, and I just went. I was like, they must have just had to write that in there, and they were just
they're like,
nobody knows this.
I really think they're like, how do we get this to be plausible? And they're like, okay, this is the only way we can think to make this plausible. It's just a convenient plot device. That's all I can think of.
Yeah.
Right.
So that happens. So like they go inside the house. There's no one else. The stone is sitting there. Yuri like freaks out. She's not sure how to stop it. She like holds the stone for a bit, and she's like, what do I do? Finally, she's just like, well, I guess I'll just smash it. And she like breaks it. And then they make sure you see that she breaks it because they replay it like I think 4 times like in a row.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we get it. Like we know she smashed it. So like Yuri's fucked because everyone else, like Yuri can push them out of stasis, like, but then she's stuck there because she no longer has the stone. So like Yuri is basically going to be stuck here forever.
Yeah, so what a horrible fucking decision. Like, I know why she broke the stone, but it's also a terrible decision. They're like, why couldn't she just, like, I don't know. She could have done so many different
things.
things.
That was her self-sacrifice.
To be fair, in that moment, she's like, fuck, I need Grandpa in order to, like, beat Sagawa, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I definitely need him. I don't know how to stop the stone without smashing it. Like, I don't fucking know. Let's just go with this.
And she was on a time limit too. I mean, like she needed to do something within the next like 5 seconds.
Yeah,
so.
I guess yes, that makes sense.
I get why she did what she did. I don't have a problem with it at all.
Yeah, because she did just last episode say like, I need to take responsibility for the stone. Like, this is my family's problem. So I do get why she did it. Like, yeah. So okay, then there's this weird like smushed up bug looking thing on the floor like when she smashes.
Blue thing that fell out of the stone. Yeah.
And I'm like, what? Like, what is this? I don't know, but it looks gross. Then Sagawa goes back inside with the last gangster dude that he didn't kill, and like he sees like this whole scene, and the gangster guy sees it too, and immediately, because you remember the guy who's remaining, who's the gangster guy, his name is Shiomi. Mm-hmm. And he's like the real logical one who like the only reason he's with Sagawa is because he's like, this is my best chance to survive. So I think he sees the stone is smashed, and he knows that the only person who can get them out of stasis without the stone is Yuri. And so he's like, shit, I'm changing allegiances like right now.
And Sagawa knew this like immediately too. He came to the same conclusion.
Yeah, so like things really happen quickly. So like they come back in, the two of them, they see what's going on. Immediately, like, Shiomi's fighting Sagawa. And then, like, they all escape. Like, Sagawa, or Shiomi, the grandpa, and Yuri all just escape. And they pop back over to the rest of Yuri's group, kind of. And, like, as soon as they pop back and they're safe, like, the grandpa gets really angry at Shiomi and is like, how dare you? And like slaps him. And I'm like, why are you angry at Shiomi? Like, he did literally nothing except help you. Like, I don't know. That's just him just like projecting because he's really pissed at Yuri in the situation, right? But it's a little weird. Then they go through this whole monologue about how, Sagawa has these powers and like he can sense people, but he can't tell who it is. And he just wants to be in stasis forever, like to witness time and blah blah. And I feel like we've all heard this before at this point. I'm not sure why they're saying it again.
Yeah.
Okay, and at this point I saw Bcom's comment about how he thinks the animation is dropping a lot. You want to say your piece?
Yeah, so I noticed this episode that there were a lot of shots of characters just standing and talking, and like so their bodies aren't moving, so only their mouths are moving. It's just like a way to save money basically on animation. There were just scenes like even when they were walking where like their characters were really off model. Like there's just a lot of this stuff throughout the episode that it's just like they were really saving the budget this episode, in my opinion.
I will agree that there's less movement, but like at least the frames that you do get are still decent quality. I really didn't notice a huge drop in animation. This is crunch time for a lot of studios. Like this is where studios will be like, oh shit, our budget is running out, or like they'll be too busy and they can't finish on time. But I will say Mitsuboshi Colors and like Love is After the Rain, those two shows, you can see it a lot worse than this show. In these 9 and 10.
I don't know about After the Rain. Mitsuboshi Colors, I agree. It has some issues. After the Rain, like I feel like it's more noticeable there maybe because they started off with such a high quality level that like any drop off is very noticeable.
Yeah, and Mitsuboshi Colors wasn't like the greatest anyways when it started. So it's really just playing par for its course, I say.
And then Kokkoku wasn't the greatest when it started either. So like I'm just noticing a little bit more like I don't know, strain on the production at this point than I was before. I don't know why it was so apparent to me this episode of all the episodes, but yeah, it was.
Yeah. Okay, so then at this point, the dad is getting ideas again, and I just kept thinking like, somebody slap this bitch like before he does something stupid, because he's in this frame of mind again. Like nothing good comes out of this. He's walking with Makoto, like this Harold comes up and is like, "Ooh, I'm gonna attack you," and like I do give the dad credit because he did like say, "Oh, I'm gonna protect Makoto, like run, I'm gonna fend it off or whatever." Like I do give him credit for that. Like Makoto turns out to have the power to like control Heralds, and like so the Herald like picks up the dad, right, and he's like shaking him in his mouth or something, and like Makoto's like, "Drop it," like he would say to like a dog, like a puppy, like, "No, drop it." And he just like drops it, and I'm like, yes, here we go. Here's Makoto's new puppy. Like, oh my gosh! And at this point, like, of course, immediately the dad like tries to pretend that he's the one controlling the Herald, and I keep thinking like, Makoto is really sweet and innocent as a kid, but like, do you guys think he's a little stupid? Because
Makoto,
yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Or he just looks up to his dad and just like wants him to trust him. I don't know. Grandpa, sorry, yeah, and just wants to like I don't know. He thinks his grandpa's like a good guy, which is his first mistake.
he's just a really good kid, so he's like, all right, I'm going to do what my elders tell me to do. That's all this is.
Yeah,
I guess
basically.
Like there's a scene in the next episode which I'm about to transition into, where like so the dad turns to him and is like, "Don't worry, you're the one actually controlling it. I'm just taking credit so you don't get in trouble." And the kid turns to the dad and is like, "Was it me? I didn't know." And I'm like, "Bitch!"
Like, he's kind of like, "I thought that might be what was happening."
And I'm like, at that point I was like, "You have some screws missing. Like you're kind of dumb."
But when you're that young, I feel like adults can trick you into thinking that, like, even if something's obvious, it's not the thing that you think it is. Like, he kind of trusts his grandpa, so he feels like, oh, it's grandpa doing this, even though it really feels like it's me.
I don't know.
I had, like, 1 or 2 notes on that, like, 9th episode. Just, like, there's a scene where Sagawa is just walking on water, like, straight up. And I'm like, why is he able to walk on water? I guess... when I thought about it a lot, I thought maybe he's trying to copy the power that what's her name, Shoko has, where she can like stop herself from falling.
She can manipulate matter, is how they explain it. Yeah, exactly. But that's what I thought, which was interesting because this was the second time we saw a Herald do one of the powers that the humans could do. Like the Heralds have been basically, when they would appear, were teleporting. So that was one. And then Harold Sagawa then walks on water, which would be another thing that Shoko did with her power.
Right.
So I don't know, it just kind of seems like there might be a connection there, whether or not it's important. But
yeah, I think they're kind of like demi heralds. I think the idea is that like those couple of families have been going in and out of stasis for so long, and a lot of the people in the family have become heralds for such a long period of time that like when people from those families are in stasis, they're kind of like demi-heralds. Like they kind of have some of the powers of a herald, even though they act as like
a conduit a little bit of the herald's powers, I'd say.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. They may not even go into it. Or it's just a wild theory.
But yeah, so then we go to episode 10. And like the first thing, I think they waste like a good 7 minutes on this whole thing where the dad is being a con artist and he's like, "Oh, look at me, I have this power." And like Makoto's like, "Oh, okay, I'm gonna pretend that dad has this power." And I was a little bored. I mean, it was kind of cute, but I was like, "Oh, I'm done." And then you go to like this frame of Sagawa, and he's doing this weird like meditation breathing exercise, and like they have him set up to look kind of like a monk or something, and he's doing this weird like cryptic monologue shit, and I was kind of like, I'm a little done with this, like.
Yeah.
So basically he's like, "Ooh, I feel the power. They're coming closer to me." And I'm like, all right. And like, so Juri's group decides that they're going to go confront Sagawa and try to attack him with this herald that they think the dad has control over. So they go up to him, the whole group of them. And like the fight was decent. Like I know Bcom, you thought it was like slow, but like it was actually a decent fight. I didn't notice that much.
I didn't know Bcom had a problem with it.
It was probably like the best fight in the series so far. Like I also said, like it felt like a Marvel movie to me, because like this fight, like they're all teaming up and they're using their powers like in conjunction with each other. It's basically like the Avengers moment for this show. I just felt that the animation, like I'm watching a bunch of other anime this season that all look better than this, and so I just feel like it lets the show down when the animation is kind of flat in a big fight scene like this.
I mean, I did not think it was that flat. I just think you're spoiled on Violet Evergarden.
I am real spoiled. I will admit it.
Not all shows are gonna be like Violet Evergarden. That's more of like an exception than the rule.
We got like 3. I mean, like got Violet Evergarden, we got Place for the Universe, got After the Rain, got Darling in the FranXX.
Okay, but After the Rain did not do as well these 2 episodes. So
it looks miles better than this.
I don't agree with you there, but that's fine. Okay, so I don't know why the baseballs either. I know you were like put a note in here like, "Ooh, the base," and I was like, "Why the fuck are you using baseballs?" I didn't really get that either.
It was like, kind of funny. They're just like hitting baseballs at them. It doesn't even work because the baseballs like stop and enter stasis like halfway to like their destination. It's kind of dumb.
I think some of them make it.
So, but some of them just like slow down like right in front of Sagawa.
Yeah.
But even when they do make it, they just kind of bounce off him like slightly. It's like, oh no,
it's a distraction.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, that's not great. And then so they're fighting him. They're doing decent. Like finally Makoto grabs him with the herald and like has him in like a lock hold or whatever. And he's like, "Oh, gotta get out of this lock hold." And so Sagawa like inflates like a lot. And like the only thing I could think of while this is happening is like the inflatable Hulk. And then he just like crumbles into dust and like emerges as this tiny skinny version of himself. And I'm like, all right. But like it takes him a while to inflate and then crumble into dust, and like the whole time Makoto is holding him, and like the dad is like, "Oh, kill him," to like Makoto, and I'm like, "Bitch, that is a fucking child. Don't ask your grandchild to kill a bitch, all right?" Like once again showing the dad is kind of a psychopath. Like
yeah, pretty much.
And then Juri is like, "Oh, don't kill him," but like they're all just standing around and watching him do this. Like, go take him out. Like you had like a good, I would say, 45 seconds to take him out.
No, why, Kat? They would have to animate them moving around.
No, that's not why. It's because then they wouldn't get a chance to like bring up the other plot points they want to bring up. That's why.
Okay. I'm just playing around. You can move on. It's fine.
But like, okay. And then he comes out all skinny, like I said, and he just keeps repeating, oh, there's something to eat. There's something to eat. And I'm like, all right, I guess there's fucking something to eat. Like, you weirdo. Like, you said it enough times.
It was showing that he was losing control.
I guess, but it was weird. I was like, this is kind of creepy. So like
he was basically like a zombie at that point, almost. Yeah.
So he goes and like eats the Herald. Like, he sticks his whole head inside the Herald and is like eating him,
eating his guts.
And then the Herald like crumbles into like a tiny just body, basically, that's all fucked up, and it like crawls back to Makoto, and Makoto's like, oh, he turned into something scary. And I'm like, oh, is your pet not fun anymore? And then he, like, the Herald makes this weird noise that sounds like a goat. He's like, ah, or something. And I'm just like, okay. Oh my gosh. So then like Juri and the grandpa run after Sagawa, who like takes off after he's eaten this Herald. And they like confront him in this empty apartment. And of course, Sagawa is like, well, I'm gonna tempt you with this offer to teach you how to get out of stasis without the stone. So don't kill me. I'm a crafty villain. And it's like such a trope. And I was kind of bored. And I was like, ugh. And also, like, in my opinion, he's not going to be able to do anything that like Juri can't probably figure out by herself, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't even know why they're entertaining this. Like, they stop on that frame and then they go into this backstory of Sagawa, and I think it's supposed to make us like feel bad for him or something,
or at least understand why he is the way he is, I guess.
Yeah, and it does make sense. Like, it shows that he grew up in this really restrictive and small religious kind of like, I don't know if it's a cult, it's just like a small religion. Like, you know how there are sects in the US that they are so small and restrictive that you could call them cults, but like they're not necessarily cults, right? Like it's like that. So he grew up in one of these, and it shows a little of his life. And then like the last part, like there's this frame where like they like him and a friend come in on both of their parents like having sex, like cheating on their wife and husband basically, and they're like, we saw them commit a heinous act. And I'm like, bitch, you saw him fucking. Like, people have sex. Like, it's not a heinous act. Like,
they were cheating on their husband and wife cat.
I mean, it's like, welcome to reality. Act. Like, people have been fucking for millennia. It's not like they walked in and they were like smearing each other with poop and like smeared it on the ceiling like monkeys. Like, they're having sex. Like, people have sex.
Well, I think it probably had to do with like the religious place that his father was running. So it was like, they knew it was really, really bad or something. And it was totally hinted on earlier that those two were going to fuck, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Also, can we please take a second to talk about the symbolism of when the parents are having sex and then there's like a bug on the outside of this church, and it's like sitting on like the religious symbol that hangs over the door of the church, and the bug like squirts like some bug juice onto this religious symbol and flies away as if it's like symbolizing Sagawa's dad just like jizzing in his friend's mom. And it's just like, oh my god, this show.
I just didn't like how they made insane. They made the scene as if it's such a unique and shocking thing. Because like so many kids have this experience, like they realize their parents are messing around. Like, this was pretty common, and I'm kind of like, yeah. I mean, I'm not too impressed. Like, yeah, you know, you're not the only one, dude. I don't know, and that's how the episode ends, episode 10.
Yeah, and it looks like it's just going to continue with Sagawa's backstory in the next episode as for like the preview. So get even more of that. I
was, kind of expecting a big showdown for the ending of the show, but that doesn't seem like it's going to happen anymore. They're going to go with like something more psychological, I guess.
I suppose, yeah. I don't know.
Out with a whimper.
Maybe. Yeah, I'll have to see how it all ends up and who gets to leave stasis and who gets trapped behind. So I don't know. Mm-hmm. Anyway, ready to move on to the next thing?
Sure.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we've also got Mitsuboshi Colors, episodes 9 and 10. Episode 9 is called One Coin Sachan, and what that refers to is that for like New Year's, the girls all got money, like 500 yen coins, and so they all give them to Sachan because she has this idea to become like the greatest weapon of all time, One Coin Sachan, which is literally just her with 500 yen coins and both of her eye sockets in her mouth, and she just like she talks like that the entire episode. It's like really funny. But okay, like after that whole scene happens, they decide to like go to a weapons store because like they realize One Coin Sachan isn't really an effective weapon. The weapons shop owner is a sane person he's not going to sell weapons to kids. But Kotaha, I like Kotaha, who she just looks around this gun shop and sees like bazookas and guns. She's like, I really like it here. They end up going to Pops, and he sells them quote unquote weapons in the form of these 3 walkie-talkies that are all color coded to each of them. And he's also the first one to understand what Sachan is actually saying with a coin in her mouth, which was pretty impressive. And he even catches it. She's been spitting the coin out and like telling Yui like, pick it up. Pick up the coin.
Okay, no,
and she won't do it because it's too gross.
So like but every time she did that, like I think Yui would be like, don't worry, it's not gross. It's okay. And then like when Pops catches it, she's like, gross.
Yeah, I loved it. He doesn't care. So they take the walkie-talkies and they like go play around in the mall and they have a lot of fun. And the next day they decide to go on like a shrine visit, and Sachan and Kotaha pray for an evil overlord to come down and run amok in their town. And there's just this guy standing behind them at the shrine that's just like, did they really just do that? Like, what the fuck? Kids these days. So, but like, yeah, they are champions of justice, so they think that they need evil to fight against. And so as they're leaving the shrine, Colonel Monochrome, their little panda cat, has like followed them. So the girls like tail him to see what he's up to. And Yui like loses her hair tie, which gets rid of her side ponytail and gives her like this really normal looking haircut. And so they're chasing the cat all over town, and he eventually just leads them back to their hideout. And it turns out he picked up the hair tie and like brought it back to their hideout and stuff. So she got it back. And then, yeah, the last part of the episode, the girls eat this entire tin of like butter cookies at their hideout. And then when it's empty, they decide like, what should we use this tin for? And they decide to make a time capsule that they'll open in 10 years. And they put like various cute stuff in it. Like Yui writes a letter for her future self. Sachan just puts some random bullshit in there. And Kotaha puts in like a game that she can't beat. And she's like, I'll let my future self beat this. And Yui just says to her like, but all the games you play are too hard for you. She like has another existential crisis about how terrible
every
she
time
is.
they make her do that face, I crack up.
It's so good.
It's like she just realized she had this problem.
Yeah. So they find a place to bury their capsule. They want to bury it next to this big tree, but they bump into Nonoka, who they tell like, oh, you can put something in here as well. So she pulls like a picture of herself as a little kid eating bread at like the bread shop out of her wallet. And the girls are like, that's really creepy that you carry a picture of yourself as a kid around. We're not friends anymore.
Okay, it is creepy though. If you think about it, it's one thing to have pictures on your phone of yourself that are virtual, but she took the time to go print that out and put it in her fucking wallet. It is a little creepy.
It's a little weird. So Nonoka tells him, oh, don't bury that tin because I guess it might decompose somehow. So they just take it back to Pops' shop and they have him hold on to it for like the next 10 years. And they're just like, don't die, Pops. Basically, like, you look kind of old. And he's like, I'm not that old. And that's like the end of the episode. It was a cute one. I liked that episode.
They're all cute.
They are all cute, honestly.
Cute girls are cute. All right, so I'm doing episode 10, I guess. Okay, so like, first off, this entire episode, there's some jank-ass frames in this episode. So like, you can tell the frames they did before crunch time, like when they were just kind of leisurely going through and doing what they could. And then like the ones that they pushed through last minute to get this like to broadcast on time. Because there are some really pretty frames in this episode where you're like, oh, this is normal. Like this is their normal quality. Then you'll come across some like scenes where it's pretty bad. And
yeah, I actually like the very beginning of this episode was some of the like prettiest stuff in the whole series, because like there's just like this random scene of like Saito walking around Ueno, and he just sees like it starts to snow, and it's like, wow, it's like really beautiful scene. And then the rest of the episode is like, yeah, like you said, like very average to below average quality. But
that actually tricked me. I had to like de-minimize the screen because I maximized it to watch it to make sure I was on Mitsuboshi Colors. It's like, I clicked on the wrong show somehow.
This looks way too nice. What's wrong?
It really threw me off. I'm like, no, this is it. I guess I'll keep watching it. And then I'm like, did they upload the wrong show to this and label it Mitsuboshi Colors? And then the girls finally showed up and I was like, okay.
It was really serious in the beginning. I kind of was like that too. I was like, why is there this serious scene in like this joke anime?
It was kind of a little out of place, but it looked nice. So
it did look pretty. But yeah, the contrast between the really nice scenes and the really shitty scenes was really jarring the entire episode, because it'd go back and forth. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of my critique. But I still enjoyed the episode. You know, it's fine. Okay, so it starts out, the girls are playing in the snow. They talk about how they can't see where the poop is under the snow, and there are poopy traps. And I mean,
yes,
as someone with a dog, like, they aren't wrong.
They do this amazing thing where they get up when they realize they've been lying in like possibly poop, and they get in this like triangle formation, and they all just pat each other's butts off to get like poop off their butts, and it's the funniest thing. I posted like a picture of it.
Just before that, they slid and fell, and they all have concussions, by the way. But when, like, they wiped out. Sachan and Yui like turn to look at each other, and they see one of those poopy traps, and their faces are like horrified. It's hilarious. I was already laughing before they started patting each other off.
Okay, so like then they become fucking animals, like fucking crazy son of a bitches, and they go and they find some poop, and they intentionally like take it with their hands and put it in some fucking snowballs, and then go up to Saito and are like, ha ha, some of these snowballs have poop in them. And like, you just see his face, and it like is blank, and he just goes back into his guard station like, nope, fuck this shit, I'm out. Like, literally, fuck this shit.
And it's hilarious because one of the snowballs that I think Kotaha throws like explodes on his window, and there is poop inside it. Like, you see it for a split second. I was like, oh my god.
Oh my god. And I'm just like, these fucking animals. Like, these are not children. These are animals. So then after that, they decide to solve the mystery of this shrine plaque that comes to them that says, your secret is out, on the back. They decide they're like secret agents, and they're gonna go solve this. Sachan tries to distract Saito by being sexy, but she fucking isn't. So like, it doesn't work.
That scene killed me.
It was just like in Place Further Than a Universe earlier this season.
She's like, I'll distract him so you guys can get by. And she goes over there and she just like lifts her leg and she's like, And Saito's just staring at her like, what the fuck are you doing? And he's like, your two friends went that way. You better go with them. She runs off.
Pretty much. He's like, I don't fucking know what you're doing.
I didn't know what she was going to do to distract him. So when she did that,
I'm just glad she didn't like lift her skirt up or something. That's what I was afraid was going to happen. I was like, ugh.
Oh no.
Okay, so like, then they go to the shrine and you find out what the secret is. And it's like, okay, there's this shrine guy and he's got a comb over like a lot of guys do. And like, as the wind is blowing, the comb over is like coming off his head. And the way that they do it, like the framing of it and like the angles, it's very, very similar. And I don't know if this is a coincidence. I personally don't think it is. I think this is like their way of making a joke about Donald Trump. Maybe I'm wrong. But the frames, like the different shots that they do of his hair blowing are almost like if you place it next to the video of Trump that came out last month where like his hair is blowing in the wind of that jet and it's like coming off on top. You remember this? It looks
I didn't see this at all. I don't remember this.
Exactly the same. Like it's the same angles and everything. And I really think they did that on purpose.
Oh, that's hilarious. I hope they did.
It was good. So like I laughed my ass off at that. That was good. So then they decide like, oh, they've solved this. So they're wandering around Now, which one of them is the daughter of the lady who runs the fruit stall? Because I got confused.
Yeah, Sachin.
Yeah, Sachan is the daughter.
I was right
of that
then.
woman.
Because I was like, I'm pretty sure it's Sachin's mom, but I wasn't 100% sure. Yeah. So, like, she tells them that there's this cat statue that was stolen from her shop, and, like, she wants them to find it. So, like,
and there was a note?
Yeah, that's like, I took the cat statue or something.
Yeah, it's like signed with like a little scribble.
Yeah, and so then Yui like immediately vows like, I'm not gonna talk until we find it, like more than once. It's gonna be something really important. And then like immediately she just screams like, poop!
It was very important.
I guess. Okay, and then they go around trying to figure out what's going on with it. And then they go to the uncle, the Pops guy, and I personally now, like after this episode, like he's definitely blind, right? Like that's his secret, like with the glasses.
Those
like,
glasses were extra weird.
No, they're not glasses.
Like,
they're pointy. Like they're not see-through. Like he has to be blind. That's the only explanation.
I don't know.
That's probably also why he caught the coin. Like he has extra senses because he's blind.
Like when they pick his glasses, I feel like they just have a grab bag and somebody just reaches in and pulls something out, because I don't even know what those were. They were like two halves of like a spiky nut.
It looked like a sea urchin that someone had cut in half and like put on his eyes. It's terrible. But yeah, no, he's blind. That's my vote. So like then Sachan gets another chance like to talk. They give her this acorn and they're like, this is another chance. Like you can use this acorn and talk once. But then she just wastes it again because like she's like, I finished the level, and like it's not even her catchphrase, it's Kodaha's.
Kodaha is so pissed that she like stole the catchphrase though.
Doesn't she like choke her out and be like, promise not to do it again?
She says like, I'm gonna dump you in the fucking lake if you do that again.
Yeah, so then they finally figure it out. They go to the bread shop. They're like, hey, we think you stole it. And they're like, yeah, but like Yui, like, or I guess Sachan like borrowed it and like never returned it. And that's why the note, because they're just like, hey, we need this back. Like we took it. Like they didn't like mean like we stole it. Like it's just literally we took it because it's ours. And that's shitty. Like that's why Sachan was vowing not to talk. Like no, that's bullshit. Like such a shithead. And that's the end of the episode.
One of my favorite things in this episode is there's like a brief scene where the three of them are using cardboard boxes to like sneak around, and I'm just like, oh my god, it's Metal Gear Solid. I was like, maybe one of Kotaha's little mobile games is like Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker or something. Like that would explain this.
Yeah,
it was really
every time I watch this show and it's over, I just come away from it like feeling really good and happy and just like a fucking smile on my face because I laughed like 80 times.
Yeah, definitely. And you need that sometimes because there's some depressing shows this season too.
Oh, so, God.
Yeah.
How many boxes of tissues have you gone through?
Oh, God, recently, yeah. Oh, man, yeah, that's going to come up, isn't it? Today is that day, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right. Well, okay, let's move on to Mondays then. So next we've got Karakai Jozu no Takagi-san, episodes 9 and 10. So with episode 9, we've got Nishikata getting his first cell phone, which has two cherries on the back and otherwise looks exactly like an iPhone. So it's just like, fake iPhone. And he has a plan to tease Takagi with his phone, but he needs her to ask for his email address first. And she basically figures out that he's too embarrassed to ask her for it and teases him until he confesses that his whole plan was to get her email address so he could tease her with it. And then they end up just exchanging addresses anyway in the end. That whole segment didn't really go anywhere. But the next day, they're cleaning the chalkboard together before class, and Takagi is curious why he's so tired. And it turns out he was kept up all night by a scary goat video that his classmate sent to him on the phone. So he decides, I'm going to send this to Takagi and scare the crap out of her. And so she looks at her phone and asks Nishikata, is this what you look at all the time? And he had like sent the goat video. So he shows it. She shows him the phone and it has like a pinup girl on it, like in a bikini. He's like, he freaks out because he's like, I didn't send that to you. Did I send you the wrong thing? What? And it's, of course, she just pulled it up on her phone to embarrass him. But she actually watches the scary goat video and like has no reaction to it whatsoever. I guess because it's daytime, it's not scary at daytime. So whatever. Takagi teases Nishikata by telling him that she talks with someone whose name starts with E on the phone, and she's like, the second syllable is to, and he's like, Ito, what? And she's like, ko. And apparently Itoko just means cousin in Japanese. She talks to her cousin on the phone, so she's just messing with him again. After that, Takagi has a sixth sense, and Nishikata calls Nishikata that night, like right before he's about to send her like a super scary video to get her back. And he denies that he was going to do this, but the conversation turns kind of sweet for a minute, where Takagi tells him she's excited to talk to him at night for the first time, and it makes her heart flutter a little bit. Aw. I liked how they also like said goodnight on the phone, but neither of them could hang up the phone. That is so middle school for me. I had exact same experience with like talking with girls. Yeah. It's like, you hang up. No, you hang up. And let's hang up on 3. 1, 2, 3. You didn't hang up, did you? Yeah, like the whole thing. Like, obviously, that always happens. The final segment involved like Nishikata trying to take an awesome picture with his phone because he's competing with his buddies, and he wants to take a picture of Takagi's funny face because it's like a surefire win if she'll let him do it. But she tells him like, if I let you do this, you'll have to do anything for me in return. And she makes the face like once, but he misses the opportunity to take the picture. And then a little later, she takes a picture of him instead by surprising him with like this pet snake thing that she has like in her bag, or she just like pops it up and scares him and like uses her phone's burst mode to take a bunch of pictures of his stupid face. And so she starts laughing like crazy, and he's like, oh, I'm going to sneak a picture of her laughing with her mouth wide open. And as soon as he like takes the picture, she like instantly senses it and makes like a victory sign with her hand and stops laughing at like just the right moment to make this perfect picture. And then Nishikata's like, oh, I guess I'll delete this off my phone, but then he can't because he loves her. And that's the end of the episode.
My general thoughts is I'm actually just getting kind of bored with the show.
Yeah.
The tricks aren't that neat and stuff. But I did find something out, Kat, that you will like. There's a manga out there of the two when they've gotten older and married and have a little girl named Chi.
But I feel like
Spoiler
it's just
alert.
the same, right? Like it's just...
I read the manga and I got caught up with it, and it's a little bit funnier because now Takagi like picks on their daughter a little bit too, and then like she's kind of slowly training the daughter to pick on Nishikata, and it's
so shitty.
So she's just ruining Nishikata's entire life. That's what this is. That's what her relationship is.
She just ruins like his entire life, basically.
And when Takagi grows up, she gets a PHAT fat ass. I was like,
okay.
But the manga is called Karake Jozu no Moto Takagi-san, so it's just one word different. But that's the progression you wanted, Kat.
This, I guess, but I also want her to stop, like, you know, psychologically destroying this little boy.
This guy has like PTSD. Like when she approaches him, he flinches. Like he flinches as if she's gonna hit him in the face.
It
like
keeps up with the manga. It's pretty good. I think the addition of their little daughter is a.
I don't know how he let her fuck him, because like he literally flinches every time she like touches him.
Yeah, you know she teased the shit out of him before she finally let the dude get fucking laid.
All right, move on to episode 10.
All right, episode 10. These are pretty quick. Nishikata runs into like a utility pole and he hopes Takagi didn't see him do that, but we know she did. And then she ends up embarrassing him by standing back to back and measuring who is the tallest. And like in the end, she says she saw him run into the pole and whatever. This show. But then Mina, Yukari, and Sanae are goofing off, and the two of them tease Yukari because she is extra sensitive to the cold by putting their cold hands on her. And they see like Takagi and Nishikata come to school together and wonder if they are dating. They end up asking Takagi, and she says that they are not. But then Nishikata gets asked by his guy friends if they are dating, and he denies it. They don't believe him until Mina comes by and says Takagi told them they were not. Takagi, of course, uses this to tease Nishikata and get him all flustered. When the two go to walk home, they start to play a game of Would You Rather. Takagi uses this to her full advantage and asks, would you rather not be teased by her forever or have her disappear? He, of course, doesn't want her to disappear completely. Then she ends up getting him one more time when she asks, would he rather get zeros on all his tests or kiss her? And there's other teasing things, but that's it.
Yeah, she
That's
almost kisses him, basically. But
yeah, she gets super close.
It's always funny when there's like little coincidences that happen in like different shows that are airing like the same week in any given anime season. Like in this episode, they have like this like back-to-back like measuring each other's height thing, and they did that also in Mitsuboshi Colors, like episode, I forget which one, it was like 9 or 10.
Yep.
But yeah, it's just funny when that happens in like different anime. It's like, what a coincidence. I don't know.
Yeah, it was cute. It is weird how that happens.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and also, yeah, I'm in agreement with everybody else that this series has sort of hit a little bit of a flat line for right now. Though I do think these 2 episodes were better than 7 and 8 from last week's, because those were just like repeating gags, and at least these ones didn't repeat gags that we'd already seen. Like they were new material. But
all right, you wrote an essay for this next one.
I did. Let's get into the big shows. All right, Tuesdays, A Place Further Than Universe. Oh, what were you saying, Kat?
I said get into the meat. Like, look at all the shit you wrote. I mean, I can't talk though. It's fine.
Episode 9, Antarctic Love Story. So, the girls are practicing jumping rope for a contest where the prize is meat, by the way. It turns out Shirase is really good at jumping rope. However, they get interrupted by a confession from this shipmate named Zaizen Toshio, who declares that he's in love with Gin, but like he doesn't know how to tell her, basically. The girls tell him, like, we're pretty sure Gin's like out of your league, bro. But he's like, no, I love strong women because they can protect me.
Oh, can confirm she's out of his league.
Yes. Yep. He asks Shirase if she has any like hot tips or hot pictures of Gin, since like she's known her for a long time, but that gets shut down like immediately. But Hanada realizes like, hey, if we add some of this like relationship drama to our like exposés about the trip, it'll really liven them up. So the girls ask Shirase like what Gin used to be like when she was younger, and we get a flashback of Gin like babysitting Shirase back then when her mother was still alive and everything. And Gin was like just really awkward around Shirase, and like they would just like sit and like watch TV together maybe, and that's the most that they really did. The girls want Shirase to go interview Gin about her love life, but she's really reluctant because she feels distant with her. And coincidentally, Gin is talking to Kanai about the same thing, about feeling really distant from Shirase. And Kanai asks her, like, even if she doesn't know what to say, if Gin's sure she doesn't want to talk to Shirase about Takako being gone, because like they should probably hash this out before they get to Antarctica. And so Gin tells the girls that she wants someone who is like a cloud when they interview her about her love life. And she's like, I want somebody who's like a cloud for a relationship partner. And they don't really know what that means. Shirase thinks that might relate to something Gin said in the past about how clouds are amazing because you can't grasp them, but when you look up at them, they're always there. And like, so she tells this to Zaizen, and Zaizen's like, what the fuck does that mean? I don't know what that means. It's really funny. Eventually, Gin and Shirase end up talking to each other during rec time because they spot penguins on this iceberg that they're passing by, and they both love penguins. And before that, we see a flashback to the past where Gin was the one who taught Shirase how to jump rope really well. It's like one of the things, like there's this whole thing where like her mother tells Gin, like, you need to pass your spirit on to my daughter because it'll help her. And so like part of that is like learning to jump rope, I guess. Shirase tells Gin that she doesn't hate her and that Gin didn't make any mistakes on the expedition and had no other choice in leaving her mother behind. But even with all that said, Gin asks, like, is that how you really feel about me, though? And Shirase kind of breaks down a bit and says, like, I don't know how I feel. And all she knows is that she waited every day for her mother to come home and nothing ever changed from just waiting. And so that's why she finally decided she had to just go to this place further than the universe where her mother is. So at this moment, the ship hits some fast ice, which it needs to break through. And the way that the ship does it is they like release a bunch of water from the forward bulkheads, and like this lifts the bow of the boat upwards, and then it comes slamming down on the ice, which smashes it apart. And then they back up, and then they do the same thing again. It's actually really cool. And apparently the reason they have to do this is because after World War II, Japan had like no influence in deciding what parts of Antarctica they could make expeditions to. And so they were assigned like this remote part called East Angol, which is like mostly thought to be unreachable. And so Japan Japanned it and like designed this crazy ship that could break through ice. And so that's how they get there, basically.
Yeah, I think they say something like that the world like coalition was like, you can try if you want, and they're like, well, we're gonna do it, and like they did it. That was good.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like there's like a pretty inspirational montage of them like breaking through the ice on their way to the island, and near the end we get this scene of Gin and her team yelling for Takako to come back. This is like a flashback, except this time we see that like Gin actually got a walkie-talkie message back from Takako. Like she could just hear her weak voice saying, "It's beautiful. Oh, so beautiful." And so like presumably like she's stranded looking up at the stars, has no way to get back to the team, but that was like the last thing they ever heard from her. So Zaizen like sees Gin alone on the deck, and he's about to like try to go approach her and talk to her, but she's crying because she's remembering this, and he's like, "Fuck, this is a bad time." And he just goes and drinks beer because he's like, I don't have a chance.
I actually thought that the reason he kind of left was he's like, oh, well, she's not acting strong like right now. Because I really don't think he liked her. I think he liked her like in an idolization way. And like when she's crying, like she's a real person, right? Mm-hmm. And It kind of like snapped him out of it. He's like, oh, like I'll just leave. And then he gives up on her immediately.
Or maybe he's like, oh, maybe she's not so strong and she can't protect me.
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't know.
Oh, I took it straight as she's crying. I shouldn't. This is not the time.
That's how I mostly took it too. Yeah. So I noticed in the scene where he's drinking beer, because his voice got like a little weird when he's drinking beer, he sounded a lot like Betelgeuse from Re:Zero, and it is the same voice actor, Yoshitsugu Matsuoka, who by the way is also Kirito from Sword Art, who plays this guy. And Yumiko, his shipmate, is just like telling like, you need to look for somebody more within reach, like more like your level. And he's like, he instantly thinks that her saying that means that like she wants him to look at her, and when she realizes this, she just like screams like, no. This guy's lost. So the ship makes like a brief stop on the ice, and Kanai asks the girls, hey, do you want to go step outside? And that means like walking down the gangplank stairs and like standing on the Antarctic ice for the first time. And so the girls all go down to the end of the gangplank, and they're like, Shirase, you should go first, like you deserve this. But instead she like grabs Kimari's hand, and then they all hold hands and they all jump down together. And Shirase, I love the end of this episode so much, because she gets down on this ice and she finally lets like some of her emotions like come up as like the music is swelling, and she just says like, in your face, to all of the people who laughed at her and doubted her and told her that she could never get there. And the whole crew who are looking on are like really moved, and they all scream like, in your face, as the episode cuts the credits. And it's a really great moment. Awesome. What'd you guys think?
Whew, are you out of breath?
A little bit.
I figured you would be. You wrote a shit ton about this. You know, they don't need to know every single thing that happens.
They do. They need to know. No, it's okay. I mean, I wrote a little too much on this episode.
Right?
You know, this cracks me up, Kat, because this is the guy who's told me, he's like, all right, we're going to go to bi-weekly and we need to do shorter synopsises. I was like, all right, we'll do this since we're doing 2 episodes. And then like the first one, I'm like, dude, you didn't even do that.
No. Yep. Yeah, no. He really was talking to himself. He was like, I need to do shorter synopsis, because he knew in his heart, and like he can't. He's just thinking.
Look, all I know is just wait for episode 12 next week, boys.
Yeah, I saw that in the doc. I was oh my god.
Should we just start reading him in? Like, should we just start going into his...
just deleting paragraphs out of it.
Just editing them out.
I'd be like, no, like you can't.
I write synopsises. This is what I say. I'll write synopses that are the length according to how good that episode was. And how much there was actually to talk about. But yeah.
Yeah, we were supposed to get away from like full synopsises and try to do more discussions, and it's just like, okay.
Well, I did ask you what you guys think, and then you just talked about the synopsis being really long.
Because you fucking said everything. Okay, this is the
There's
thing.
nothing left to say.
When it's a Bcom episode, like when Bcom covers it, like he says so much that you can't even fucking say anything in return. Because like he said everything.
It's true. It's true.
You just ruin it. Is what...
I have tears in my eyes.
All right, well, let's move on to episode 10 then. Let's listen to this short, to the point synopsis from Kat.
Okay. So this episode, it starts out, they're like moving stuff from the ship to their final like camp out area. They actually got to the Antarctic site that they want to be at now. Like, and there's this scene where they're in the helicopter and they're going up with some of the stuff like to the final site, and there's all these weird, like all the crew have these like weird fucking Christmas outfits on, and they're like waving, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? Why did they put these on? This is dumb. They're gonna have to take these off like immediately. Did they do it just for these high school girls? Like, that's dumb. I don't know.
I think it's probably like a tradition or something. They're celebrating
what
Christmas.
I got.
It's pretty funny though.
I mean, it would have made more sense if they did it like during the party later, like, but not then, because they're just about to like go do a bunch of work. Like, don't put that on. I don't know. Okay, so they get there, they do some work like loading stuff into the final campsite. They go to bed for the night. Who's the one who like does the sleep talking all the time? Mari. So Mari like has one of her terrible sleepwalking things, and like the exact quote, "The jar genie won't come out of the toilet. He probably won't go through the ticket gate." It was pretty damn good. It was cute. Okay, so they get everything moved finally. It takes them quite a long time. They dig this water hole, I'm assuming for like drinking water, although I don't know how clean it is. I'm assuming like in Antarctica there aren't that many people, but like I'm also assuming there's still like animals who poop in it and stuff. So I'm sure they have a way of filtering it.
Aren't they shoving snow into it?
Yeah, and they say like it all gets filtered somehow. So there is definitely like a water filter somewhere. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then the famous girl, she gets an email, and you see her read it, and she's just really stressed. And so you find out later that she got this big part in a drama, and she's stressed about being included in it because she feels like all these friends that she's just made, it's going to be hard for her to keep in contact and keep being friends with them after she starts this drama, because it's going to be a lot of her time. And I mean, they kind of are trying to reassure her about it. They're like, there's no one moment when people become friends. Mm-hmm. But she's just not, like, you can tell she's not sinking in. Like, so then the kitchen lady, like, is having them help her with the food. They're going to have this, like, party later. And she kind of points out that food and events are the most important activities on the base because they're living such, like, a Spartan lifestyle in such a small space that, like, those things are really important to keeping morale up. And I imagine that's true.
Yeah, for sure.
And I mean, I guess it's Christmas. I didn't really get it until like halfway through the episode. I guess I should have gotten it when they did like the costumes in the beginning. But I was just like, what the fuck is this? Like, that's dumb. Like, I didn't even think about what it meant. So once again, like the famous girl, like she hears them singing about Christmas, and you see her saying that she doesn't like it because it reminds her that some people's birthdays are celebrated and some aren't. And like, it was kind of like drama. And I was like, all right, like, I guess what you're saying is your birthday is soon. And like, poor me, like no one remembers my birthday. And I get it. Like that does suck. But like, she should just be like, it's my birthday soon. Like, I hope you remember. Like, Instead of
but
being
it seems
all,
like she's never had her birthday like celebrated ever in her life. It seems like
I feel like her mom cares a lot about her. I can't imagine her mom hasn't celebrated her birthday. I think what she's trying to say is like none of her friends ever celebrate it because she doesn't have any friends. Which is it does suck. I just felt like, you know, you can be a little more direct. You can be like, it's my birthday, you know. But it is what it is. Then she brings out this friendship contract to like try.
Yeah,
and,
that was some psycho shit right there.
Reassure herself, and like, it's not really psycho. Like, I get where she's coming from. It's kind of sad. Like, obviously, it offends the other ones. Like, it offends them a little bit. I feel like
it doesn't like Mari just starts like crying. I think, right? I'm pretty sure.
I feel like
yeah, she does.
She's looking for like something solid and tied down, like a merger agreement, or like when you get married, right? Like there's a contract you sign and like it's all very official, but like it's just, and they pointed out like friendship just isn't the same. Like it's not like that. It either works or it doesn't. So like they're all upset. They go to their separate corners. Like they have like the party at night, and there's this part where like someone is like, this rice bowl is partially frozen, and like the other girl is like, it says partially frozen rice bowl on the menu, so it's fine. And I'm like, no, it isn't fine. Like, and then they once again talk about how friendship can't be easily defined, and like no one's to blame if it fades. A lot of times friendships fade, and like it's unrestrained and it lets you feel comfortable with each other. And then like they also talk about how friendship is like being able to tell what the other person is thinking, and like really liking that person and persistently caring about them, even like when you're apart or when you're not going to talk to each other for a while. And I totally agree with that. Like that is a lot of friendship. And then she ends the episode with saying friendship is like the word right. And I mean, what they say is like meh, which is kind of like, isn't that so, I guess? Like like you're agreeing with each other. And I guess I can see that too. It was good sentiment. What you guys got to say?
So there were a couple of little things I noticed. Like Kimari was the only girl not wearing like a face mask when they were doing work outside. And they had talked in an earlier episode about how like you need to wear like sunblock or else you're going to get like a really bad tan. So I know next episode, like she's going to have a freaking terrible tan on her face. It's going to be really funny because you've seen it in the OP already.
Yeah,
so
I was going to say it's in the OP. We know it's coming. So
yeah. Also, so like just in general, this episode like had basically two main objectives. Like the first is to show like that, hey, they arrived in Antarctica and this is like all the prep they have to do. And then the second is to wrap up like Yuzuki's like entire arc in this show. And I just kind of wish they had more time to do this, like to split this into two different episodes. Like I would have really liked them to just have a whole episode like focusing on like what's it like to like set up shop in Antarctica and like live there. They kind of do both things at the same time because like we're closing in on the end of the show, and like each of these girls has to have like an episode to themselves to like wrap up their whole emotional arc. So I felt like Yuzuki's kind of got like folded into this episode that I wish was like separated out. That's all I really thought about it.
I don't have anything. It's just a good show. Watch it.
It is really good.
Yep.
All right, we can move on. Wednesdays we got Violet Evergarden. Episode 9. So this is going to be a long fucking synopsis, by the way, because this is like the climactic episode of this show. Like it is the most important episode of the entire show, so it's gonna be a little long.
Look how he defends himself as he like gears up to just spend 10 minutes laughing. Talking about this.
Feel free to jump in if you have anything to input.
Everything's already in there.
I know everything. Well, not everything. I mean, you have your own thoughts about all these situations. So we picked up like the Major was being shot in the eye at the end of the last episode, right? And Violet gets shot like multiple times trying to get the Major to safety before they're both like grenaded. And then this grenade literally blows Violet's arms off. And like we actually watch her arm like fall away from just above her elbow. It's pretty damn gruesome. Yep. And despite this, she must have like some ridiculous pain tolerance because she's still like okay. I was talking to Brains from Trash Pandas Watch Anime about this, and he was like, well, she was in shock, but even then, like that's some crazy pain tolerance that she can just move on and be like...
Yeah, she's trying to drag him with her teeth. It's like, it's insane.
She's like, she's so determined. She's like, I swear I won't let you die. And yeah, since she has no arms, she tries to drag him and like yells at her. He yells at her like, you've done enough, like just leave me. And the major tells her he loves her, and she yells like, I don't know what that means. And then he then covers her as the fort is bombed by like the retreating forces. And they take he like dives on top of Violet, and he takes the brunt of all this rubble that falls on top of him. So back in present time, Violet has like returned to this fort, and she's digging through this rubble looking for any sign of the major, basically. And Claudia shows up and apologizes to her for not telling her the truth in the first place about the major. And he asks her, like, please come back to the memoir dolls. And he tells her, like, the major asked him to take care of her if anything happened in the battle. So eventually Violet returns back with him, and he tells her, like, she's totally capable of living a life on her own now without the major's orders. Like, she's learned how to live. And they come to this roadblock because a town is being attacked by this anti-peace faction, and not much really comes of this except Violet like looks out the car window and she just sees like a vision of herself as a soldier like saluting back at her, and it just shows that her past actions are still weighing very heavily on her mind right now. There's a really strange conversation please help me understand, between Catalea and Benedict back at the office, where Catalea wants him to go do something and says, it would be better if someone of your kind were to go. At least this is what the fan subs are saying. That's the version I'm watching. He's also wearing high-heeled boots in this scene, which is
why
interesting.
Was he wearing high-heeled boots?
I don't know. These are like stiletto boots too. It's not just like raised platform boots. They're just like, they're very sexy boots. I don't know. He's into them. What do you think, Kat?
I mean, he can rock them if he wants to, right?
I guess so.
It's his choice.
He can pull it off. I don't know what they're saying about him in this.
This is the modern world. Men can wear high-heeled shoes.
Yeah.
If they want to. Yeah.
So Catalea and Claudia discuss how Violet isn't the only one burning up inside, but also both of them are as well. And I'm not really sure. I don't remember what Catalea's backstory is, or if they've even gotten into it.
No.
But so I'm not sure why she's burning up. I would like to know what that backstory is. Hopefully we'll get that in the last few episodes. And she says that like losing the major was losing everything for Violet. But Claudia is like adamant that like she's lost nothing. Like she can still move on. So anyway, Violet has a nightmare. She sees the major again, and he speaks Dietfried's words about how she has blood-stained hands that can't be used to write letters to bring people together. It's just ridiculous. And she wakes up and she throws a tantrum, and she's like screaming to like let out some of her pain. And she like wants to throw this stuffed animal dog that Claudia gave her, and it obviously represents her, because you remember she chose the dog because she used to be called the Major's dog. Mm-hmm. And she can't bring herself to strangle this little stuffed animal, but instead she takes her hands, puts them around her own neck, and starts strangling herself. But she can't bring herself to go through with that either, and she just doesn't know what to do. She's a complete loss, and she just begs like the dead major like to just give her orders, and like tears are pouring out of her eyes basically. So at that, a little bit later, a courier comes and delivers a letter to Violet, and it's from Erica and Iris from the office. And this elderly courier says that they found like a bunch of letters that had to be thrown away, and he has to deliver all of them, and so she helps him out, basically.
Wait, that had to be thrown away?
Or had been thrown away.
A courier like ditched him or something.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
So Violet goes around just to get away from like thinking about everything. She goes to help him do this, and she ends up finding joy in bringing these letters to these recipients, because everybody is so happy when they get a letter. And like the old courier tells her before she goes home, you know, no letter deserves to go undelivered, since they're all filled with like the heart and soul of the people who wrote them. And so she gets back and she reads Erica and Iris's letter, and it just tells her that like they'll be waiting for her whenever she's ready to come back. They know she might not come back right away. And also Spencer came in that day specifically requesting a ghostwriting from Violet to send an apology to his sister Luculia. That's the brother who's the veteran. He's gotten a job since he received the letter from his sister, and he's doing like way better now. And so Violet, because of all this, walks slowly on her way back to work and takes in like all of her surroundings as she's walking around town. Like she's basically seeing everything for the first time again. And she stops in front of this flower shop and kneels in front of it. And she promises herself that she'll live up to the Major's words, that she'll become worthy of her name and as wonderful as the violet flowers are themselves. And she like runs to Claudia's office after this when she makes this realization and tells him that he was right. Like she was covered in these burn marks. And is it really okay for her to be an auto-memorial doll? Is it really okay for her to even be living on right now? And Claudia, because he's a war veteran himself, is completely moved to tears and just bluntly tells her, though, like, what you did can never be undone. And there, like, a montage starts playing, though, of like all the people she's helped with the ghostwriting over the course of this entire series so far. And he tells her that, like, you know, while what you did can't be undone, all the things that you've done since then won't be undone either. Like, your legacy is living on now in the people that you've helped. So yeah, I thought this episode was a great climax, building on everything that came up before it. It's just like a gorgeous, like brutal depiction of like trying to get past like this trauma after coming home from war and reintegrating into society. And I really liked how it relied heavily on images and metaphors rather than just like a lot of exposition and talking. It was very much reliant on all the things that had come before. So yeah, great job, KyoAni, on this episode. It was really incredible.
Yep. That's what happened, guys. You just rewatched the whole episode.
I mean, if you really have nothing to say about that episode. It's like the climactic episode of the series.
I mean, you said it all. That's the problem.
I can't believe that I'm the only one who has an opinion on this episode, though. Like, there's more things to be said about this episode.
You don't allow anyone else to have an opinion.
It's not true. It's not true. Like, I had like an hour-long conversation with Brains from Trash Pandas Watch Anime, who he brought up like a million things I didn't think of. I think you guys just aren't trying hard enough. That's what I think.
But it would require me to interrupt you, which
when
you're on a roll like that is not an easy task. Have you ever tried? Like,
yeah.
It's not fun.
That's true.
Kat,
it's hard to interrupt.
I got you.
Yeah.
Okay, episode 10.
Yeah, go to next episode 10.
I liked better. It's called Loved
really
Ones
good.
Will Always Watch Over You. It's super good. I fucking cried.
I also fucking cried.
This is going to be a very brief summary, but the premise is super straightforward. Mm-hmm. But then it'll allow us some time for discussion because there's a lot we can talk about. Violet gets requested by an ailing mother to write some letters for her, and she also has a younger daughter named Anne who doesn't like guests because it takes away time she could be spending with her mother. As the viewer, we are aware that right at the get-go that the mother will probably be dying soon. She's not doing well. We think Anne doesn't know this, but she's a clever young girl and knows her mother will soon be gone like her father is. This is one reason why she doesn't like Violet being locked away in the sunroom with her mother writing the letters, you know, all day, every day. But it was only for a contract for 7 days. And when it's up, we finally get to see the mother and daughter spend some time together, and it's really nice. And this is really when the waterworks really start, because then we find out that the letters she was having her write the whole time were to Anne, one for each of her birthdays up until she is 50. We get to see a couple of these letters, and Anne makes it, you know, we see her go up to 20 years old, and she has a husband and a child of her own. And this just whole episode does a real good job of selling you the relationship between this mother and daughter. And so when they're just reading those letters, it's just like, oh my God, it's so heartbreaking. But yeah. there was one funny scene where like Anne was talking to Violet, and they were like kind of getting up late, and she's like, you need to go to bed. And she goes, she goes, Catalea told her that staying up late is a lady's worst enemy.
Of course, Catalea would say that.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, let's talk about this episode. Kat, you got something before Bcom goes?
It was all right. It was good. I'm like...
Did you tear up?
A little. I mean, as you all know, I'm kind of a monster. So like, I don't cry at these things like you guys do. But that's fine, you know.
Yeah, you can tell, good. I know a lot of people thought about this episode like, oh, it's just like a standalone. And it's like, nah, this is not a standalone episode. This is like very much following up on the last episode, because especially in the end, when you find out, like, Violet comes back to the office, right? And she starts just like crying because she tells them, like, I was holding it in the entire time I was there. Like, this little girl, like, I couldn't handle it. Like, I knew what was going on with her mother. She knew that her mother was going to be gone.
Yeah, even feeling guilty for herself for, taking the time away, but it was necessary,
Yeah. And it's also not like this episode, as much as it's for the benefit of this little girl, like the little girl Anne in the beginning of the episode says something like to Violet, like, oh, you're a doll, so you've always been the toy and not the player, because she wants to play like dolls with Violet, and Violet doesn't know how to play with the doll because she's always been the one who's been played with. It's a very telling line basically about how her whole life has gone to this point. But yeah, Anne like is so freaking well animated. Like, her facial expressions in this episode are incredible, and like her words just like pierce through your heart. Like, it's, I don't know, I wrote down in the stock, like, I dare anyone not to cry when they watch this. But like, I know different people react differently to different things, but like, man, this one really pulls on your heartstrings really hard.
It pulled me into the like the mother-daughter relationship really hard. I was feeling really bad for Anne,
Yeah, definitely. I was feeling bad for the mother because like I caught on very early what the mother was writing the letters for.
I was thinking it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
It was
that
good.
was a tough one.
It was fine, right? It's kind of sad, but I was kind of like, you should have heard these bitches in the chat, right? They're like, I cried so much when I watched this episode. It's the hardest thing I've ever read. And I'm like, it wasn't that. And I'm like getting ready to watch this episode. Like, this might be the first time I cry in an anime, because like apparently no, it's not that bad. Like, okay. I don't know. Maybe I'm
don't
just
worry.
Like,
there's an episode coming up
bitch.
Next week from a different show that will get you. I guarantee it. I guarantee will get you. So don't worry about it.
All right.
But yeah, let's move on to the rain.
After the rain.
Oh, right. Okay.
So episode 9, Reign of Sorrow. Akira and Haruka go to the festival together, and Haruka actually, I guess, has little twin sisters and an older brother who ends up tagging along.
Her twin sisters are so cute. That's all I have
they wanted to go. Yeah, they're moe. We know this.
Of course, Bcom noticed this, right? Like, are we even surprised that he noticed this?
So everything is going totally fine until Akira sees her manager, and she's like, oh, hold on 1 minute. I'm going to go talk to him for a second. She goes and talks to him for a minute. But Haruka's watching on, and she's like, wait a minute. Something seems off. And she basically figures out that Akira likes him. And when she asks Akira about it, she's like, I don't want to talk about it. And that gets Haruka mad, because she's like, we used to be so close before, and now you don't tell me anything anymore. And when she tells her that, Akira replies with, we can't go back to the way things were before. She's just pretty brutal, and Haruka just like ends up crying and running off. And that was kind of mean on Akira's part.
I mean,
it was
but
really
it's
mean.
True, right? Like, they can't.
I don't know if
like,
it is.
She's going through this time, right? Like, things are different for her, and so their relationship is going to be a little different. It doesn't mean they're always going to be far away from each other, but it does mean, like, as she changes, their relationship will change. Because when someone in a relationship changes, whether that's a friendship or like a relationship, that whole relationship changes. Because that relationship is a function of both
Haruka's
of
big
those
thing
people.
is like, you don't trust me anymore because you used to tell me everything, and now you tell me nothing. And she's just hurt by it. Like, she did something to her, that made her not trust her, and she doesn't know why, and she wants to know.
Well, but like sometimes it's not
understand
even about
why,
you, right? It's just someone's going through a hard time and they need a break. And I kind of think that's what's happening. And like it's not her friend's fault, but like she also doesn't need to cry and run away, right? Like it would have been better if she just like, you talk about how Akira is immature, but like the mature way to handle that wasn't to cry and want to run away. It was to have a discussion about it. So like,
I know it's just hard when your
mature.
friend is telling you like, we can't be friends like we used to be anymore. Sorry. And like the reason why Akira is telling her that is like, oh, I got hurt running, and like when I look at you run now, it makes me really sad, so I'm different now and I can't be your friend anymore. Like it's kind of shitty what Akira's doing, in my opinion. I don't know.
Well, but like she's not saying I can't be your friend anymore ever. I think she's just saying I'm going through this hard time, like after we're out of high school and this isn't an issue anymore, like we can be close again, but right now this is really hard for me, and so I'm like trying to put some distance between us for right now. I think that's really what she's saying.
Right.
That's what she wants to say, but she's not saying these things.
She's not saying it well or clearly.
If her friend had actually stuck around and like instead of running off and crying, and they would have had a conversation, maybe that would have come up and like
maybe
they could have resolved it.
We're talking about high school girls with hormones going crazy. They're extra emotional. I mean, come on.
I thought it was funny how Akira's little sisters Haruka's little sisters started crying first. And then she's like, "Don't cry," and then like she starts crying like just like they do. Like you can see where they get it from.
But moving on, Kondo goes to meet up with an old friend he hasn't seen for 10 years named Chihiro. He's actually the writer of the book Akira was doing schoolwork on. What we mostly find out here is that Kondo at one time was planning on becoming an author himself, but instead married his wife at the time, whose name is Midori. Later on, the two, they're just at a bar. They're just broing it out and having a good time together, even though it'd been so long away. It's kind of like I think it's trying to mirror what Akira and Haruka could be later on. Like, this is where their relationship may end up. You know, it's not such a bad thing.
Yeah, right. So like this is where I started to see a lot of parallels between Kondo and Akira, and like how they're trying to show like this is Kondo's, like, is Akira, like, however long in the future, right? Because, like, they both wanted to be authors. Only his friend became an author. And, like, you can tell he, like, kind of resents it. Like, he kind of wishes that he was an author. And, like, he does have a little bit of feeling about that because it's hard not to. But, like, he also really cares about his friend. And, like, now that they've had some time, they can be friends, right? And like I was saying earlier, I just feel like Akira just needs some time.
Yeah, it totally mirrors Haruka and Akira because just like you said, Akira can't be a runner anymore, but Haruka still can. And it's just like the other two, how the other Chihiro can now be the author, and Kondo never became an author. Yeah, it's an exact mirror. I thought it was really well done. Other than that, they also just kind of reminisce about the old times, but Bcom wanted me to put in here that when Chihiro leaves, he tells Kondo that they are not adults. They'll always be classmates.
Yeah, I just think it's always interesting to follow this like whole Kondo trying to recapture his youth thing, and Chihiro tells him like, "Hey, we're not adults. Like we're still like the same classmates we used to be," and that may help Kondo put himself into a frame of mind where he could potentially date Akira. So I just was keeping track of that.
It's so crazy, and I see this opinion a lot about the show, but you know, the premise is kind of creepy. But then at this point, everybody's like, they can date. I don't have a problem with it anymore. It's really weird.
I don't think they're ever going to date. I think the whole point of this show is to like showcase both of them and like the idea that they are very similar in some ways, and then like they'll go their separate ways once she graduates. I think that's what will happen.
I'm kind of feeling that too. I think she's starting to kind of accept that, you know, he will never date her or something like that. So So back at the restaurant, Kondo can tell Akira's down about something, and she does end up telling him why, which is the whole situation with Haruka. He gives her some advice and points up, showing her that the supermoon is out and she can make a wish. She ends up wishing that Haruka and her will be closer together again in the future. noteworthy in the future. So yeah, she wants some time, and that's the episode.
I saw a lot of talk about this episode, how like Haruka is in love with Akira, and I really didn't get that from it. Like I just,
I guess there's an argument for it.
I mean,
yeah,
people
you could
just
view
like
it
to
that
see
way.
that. It's just the same reason like girls will say that two characters are like in love with each other because they're friends and they like have feelings between the two of them. It's like, no, you know what? Friendship sometimes involves feelings. Wouldn't you know? Like, it doesn't mean that they want to fuck each other. Like, just saying.
Now, if you want to go watch a couple anime episodes about two girls at a festival who really want to fuck each other,
there's another show.
Yeah, you could go watch Hibike Euphonium season 1 episode 8 and season 2 episode 1, because that's what it looks like. So go look at those. Wow.
I love how Bcom like knows the episode by heart. Like you can tell that he's watched that episode so many times.
Episode 8 of season 1 of Hibike Euphonium is like, it's a masterpiece.
I bet he has it like saved. And he just like goes back to it whenever he's in a mood. He's like, oh,
just occasionally he just watches that one episode.
I've definitely rewatched that episode like on its own multiple times. It's
Not
true.
even the rest of the show, just that episode.
I love how cats come onto this podcast and now we regularly just pick on Bcom, even though Bcom chose her.
Bcom is my
she
favorite
was the chosen one.
Bag. But you know
she was meant to bring balance to the podcast.
Well, it's funny. Real quick side story before we move on, but yeah, because I had never talked to Kat before, and I got to talk to her once for like an hour or so in a chat while we were watching another podcast or something. And as we were talking, I was like, holy shit, we have a ton of the same opinions. This is going to be a nightmare for Bcom when we disagree. Because it's going to be 2-on-1.
Oh, it's fine.
Bcom
Look, Leo,
okay.
I don't think she had the same opinion as you on Grand Crest Senki. So.
This is my opinion. Bcom is a secret masochist. Like he's a big M, right? Like he really likes it when we gang up on him. That's why he arranged this.
I like to defend myself.
No, he likes to be beat up on a little bit.
I can take
Gives him
a
a little
punch.
smile on his face.
Well, he's such a big man himself, so I just feel like, you know, he's always been looked up at his whole life. He likes to be looked down on a little bit now, later on.
A little bit. Not too much.
I don't
but
joke.
he likes a little
What are
bit.
you, 6'8"?
It's like 6'3", yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's insane. I met him once.
And Leo's
And
like
my neck
4'3".
Who's 4'3"?
He is
I'm
not.
4'3".
No
No,
way.
he's not 4'3".
5'6". Very average height.
You're an inch taller than me. There you go.
Woo. All right, you can get on to episode 10.
Okay.
All right.
So, this is a really good episode. So, like, the two of them go to a flea market and they're there to look at older books. And I have a feeling this is one of those things where a lot of these are rare, like, first editions and therefore are fucking expensive as shit. The storekeeper thinks that she's his daughter. So, like, they go up and it's, like, his favorite storekeeper. And he's like, oh, this is your daughter. I didn't realize you had such an old daughter. And like, it's just like, wah, wah, wah.
I loved her hair at the beginning of this episode.
Oh, stealing my line. Yeah, no, it's good. It's pretty.
Her hair is ridiculous.
Yeah, how did I'm not even I'm sure it's probably possible, but like I'm like legit curious, like how I want to learn how to do that.
This is my issue, right? In a lot of like actual live action stuff and in anime, there are a lot of these hairstyles, right, where it looks really pretty. That's fucking never happening in real life. You're never gonna see that in real life. Girls don't have 2 hours to do that to their hair in real life.
Yeah, what she did looked fairly simple, I think.
It looks simple
it
to
looked
you
complicated as hell to me. I don't know.
because you are a boy.
I'd rather do like multivariable calculus than try to figure that shit out.
Yeah, no. It looks simple, but it's fucking not. Let's just end it there. Also,
Okay.
she is wearing the tightest pair of pants that I've ever seen on her to date. Like, those are skin tight. And I know she did it because it's hot, you know? And when you're a teenage girl, like, you do stuff like that. You wear pants that are too tight. But I was like, she did the trick where like she laid down on her bed to like put them on, because like there's no way. Wait,
I don't even know this trick. I'm a guy.
This is a common girl trick. Like, I haven't had to do it in a few years because I'm not a teenager anymore. Like, but yeah. So okay, so then they're looking through all of the books, and this topic comes out about the world's shortest letter. And the idea is that like two people, if they know a lot about each other and they connect really well, like the more they connect, the less needs to be said for them to understand what they're trying to say. And so like the shortest letter is just a question mark, and the response is like an exclamation point. And like in the story, it's supposed to be like, is my book selling well? And then like, yes, it is selling well. But then later in the episode, Akira uses it when Kondo wanders away. And like she's using it like, where are you? Are you coming back? And like he responds with the exclamation point, but like he means like, oh, I'm coming back. I got caught up. And like they understand what they're saying. I did notice in the last few episodes there were some frames that were not great. Like it's not as noticeable as Mitsuboshi Colors, but like there are a couple scenes where I was like, ooh, they were rushing a little bit. Like hopefully that's just, this time it's not terrible, and there's still some really pretty frames.
Yeah,
like,
and it's stuff that could potentially be cleaned up before like a Blu-ray release, maybe.
Oh, so, yeah. So it's not like irreparable, but I did notice it.
Yeah.
Okay. Then he like pays for the book, and he's like, "Oh, it's so expensive." And I'm like, I fucking feel you. Like if anyone's ever tried to buy a first edition of a book, I don't know if you guys have.
Yeah, it's really expensive.
Yeah, and I was like, I feel you, because I own quite a few like first editions, or like not even first edition, but like third or fourth, and like they can get mucho dinero sometimes. And then so like she picks out this postcard, and I guess I was thinking to myself, like, is this a thing? Do people collect old postcards? And then I was thinking like, well, everything is kind of a thing, so I'm sure it is. Yeah.
It's like a very sentimental idea, right? Like you take this romantic postcard from other people in the past and like give it as like a gift to somebody or something to tell them how you feel. 'Cause life is cyclical. Like people felt the same way that you do like 50, 100 years ago. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And then I feel like, okay, so the one she picks is one that says, "Let's meet again when the season turns around." And I felt like she picked it because she was thinking about her friend and like how she needs some time right now, but like she wants to reconnect with her later. So that was good.
Yeah.
And then, and then she goes to the doctor, and there's this like exchange between the doctor and the nurse about like how she could go into physical therapy and go back into track if she wants to, but like she doesn't want to. And I really think Akira is like afraid to try, right? Like, so by the time that she goes through physical therapy and like goes back to the track team, she's in her senior year. She's not going to have much time. And like, if she doesn't do really well, like not much is going to come of it.
Right.
And like, she knows that she can, right? But like, when you fail in a big way or like take a big fall, like in this sense, kind of literally, because she falls and like, that's the whole point. It's hard to like pick yourself back up and be like, I'm going to go back in here and I'm going to try again, even if I fail again, because it just like puts you off. And like,
yeah,
you would rather just not put the effort in and then like not have to deal with maybe failing, Yeah,
or having all of her teammates look at her like, oh, when is she just going to get hurt again? Or like, worrying about her. Like she's used to being the one who's just like the head of the team, like invincible, and like maybe she just doesn't want to go back to that situation, and deal with all of that again.
That she would be as good as she was before, because even if she does physical therapy, she's not been practicing, and like I don't think she wants to go back and then just be like one of many who's just okay.
No,
I think it would hurt her pride.
Yeah, she'd have to do a lot of training to get back to how she was before. And I mean, if she was like the elite of the elite at that time, that's that's going to take a while, and she's probably not going to do that in a year.
Yeah, and she knows she's giving up. And like that's why I think it's hurting her so much to see her friends still on track, because she knows that if she wanted to, she could, but she's afraid to. And like you see later in the episode, like the parallel again where Kodo is doing this with being a writer too. Like he's like giving up because he had this bad experience, and he's afraid that if he goes back to writing that nothing's going to come of it, and it's just going to hurt his pride. And so he's not doing it. But yeah, I actually watched this episode twice because I liked it so much. Mm-hmm. So like most people who write, and they talk about this, like Kodo is one of those people who really likes to write. Like you don't do it because it's fun when you're doing it, or because like you think that by writing and like creating this thing, it's going to get you something, because it doesn't. Like no one reads anymore. It's really just because you feel like you have to, like you feel like it like nags at you. And so he talks about how writing is kind of like a one-sided love, because you put like a lot of yourself into it and you really don't get much out of it. Like it's really just you putting a lot of time and effort into it. And like it shows him where he was trying to write and he got really distant from his wife, and like that's why they divorced. And I can see that, because writing is something that's very solitary and it's very internalized. And so it's easy to become estranged from people. It's not like a lot of hobbies where you can share it with others.
Right. It's very insular.
Mm-hmm.
But still, it sucks to like let your obsession get to that place where like your wife divorces you and takes the kid with her because like you just can't handle it. Like that's pretty insane.
Well, and you can tell like he hates that happened, right? And he hates himself for it. Mm-hmm. Like he has this point where like he's looking at himself writing, and he's like, can no one like relieve me of this feeling I have for like literature? He doesn't want to like it, but like he does, because it's a part of who he is. And like that's I guess why he stops writing.
Yeah, it's pretty sad, honestly. But it is like a direct parallel to her stopping running as well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because in the end, it was a decision they both kind of made.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. And then they then talk about how like, so then they're like the two of them. They're in the break room. They come across. They start talking about this like nest of birds that used to be right outside the break room, and how like all of them flew away except one, and then eventually it flew away too. And they're like, well, you know, what if the bird never flew away? And like, of course, Akira is like talking about herself, and like he's like, well, if we didn't, then like maybe the bird would be happy, but like it wouldn't be very happy, and like it would just always like regret and all of that. And you can just see the two of them sort of like talking their way around it in a way. And then they have this quote where she's like, I think it's him. He's like, if you're in a place where you don't get wet from the rain, then like you'll never see the sun either. You'll just be kind of like, okay. It's like that idea that you'll never experience the good parts of life if you don't experience the bad parts, Yeah. So... yeah.
So I found some pics of her hair. Kat, do you have any idea how to do this?
I mean, like you'd have to take. She has so much hair, and that's part of why she's able to do this.
Yeah, she's like wrapping her own hair around part of it to make it like its own hairband, and then.
So what she's done, she's not actually doing that. She's put a hairband in her hair, and she's left part of her hair out. And then she's taken the part that she left out and she's wrapped it around the hairband so it looks like she's wrapped her hair with her own hair. But like that's not actually what she did.
And it looks like she's got some kind of braid thing going on up top before she splits them into the twin tails, I guess.
She wanted to become a twin tail. That's what happens.
That's another thing.
Tails.
It's an anime.
Twin tails never look good in real life. This is an exclusively anime thing. No girl looks good with pigtails. It does not happen. Once you are over the age of 10, you should never be wearing pigtails unless you are in a porn. That is the only time that you should get a pass.
God.
I'm doing a Google image search now because I type in twin tails and it's all fucking anime.
Yeah,
I'm telling you,
I type twin tails real
it
life.
is a myth. Girls do not look good in pigtails in real life once they're over the age of 10.
It's mostly Japanese women, but you're kind of right.
Oh, by the
Doesn't
way,
look the best.
I liked that swallow's nest metaphor got like extended back to Kondo by Akira, because she was like, yeah, sometimes like there's swallows though that just will forget to even look up at the sky anymore and even think about flying, and that's like totally him with his novels. Like he doesn't even think about it anymore. He forgets like how much he used to want that and want to like fly away with novels and whatever. So I like that it applied to both of them. It was a little on the nose, like the whole swallow's nest thing, but like it worked. It was good.
Yeah, it was a little bit like, why don't you just talk about what you're wanting to talk about? But like, I liked it still.
It was good. Yeah, it was nicely done. I think
Okay,
said
I will,
everything about
after
that
my
though.
quick Google search, I will say when they do it to the side, it sucks. But if they let it just hang more straight down the back, it's not so bad. But twin braids look pretty good regardless.
That's right.
Twin
And that's
braids
my
do
official
not
take.
Hot takes from Leo on hairstyles.
I'm like Mitz. I'm a big hair guy.
I mean, that's fine. You can be that. I had hair down to my butt for years until I was 16, like literally down to my ass, like below my ass. And then I finally got tired and just cut it all off. And I was like, I'm done. And I've like not looked back since.
Crazy.
How long is it now?
It's like between my ears and my shoulders.
I may have longer hair than you.
It's not a competition. All right, episode 9, Yuru Camp.
I didn't say it like it was.
One day we'll meet up and we can have this competition.
I'm gonna edit all of this out.
No, you're not. Don't
I'm not.
lie.
Just edit yourself.
Okay,
It'll stay
fine.
under
I'll
2
do that.
hours.
Then you guys will sound really stupid. I'll make my like my
You
thing
know
last
you're
like
not gonna
20
edit
seconds,
this out.
and then have you talk for like a minute about how long it was. I have all
Don't
the power
you dare!
in the
If
world.
you edit out all the shit about us shit talking you, I will like.
Oh no, I would never
on
do
you.
that.
I will
never do
listen
that.
to this just so I know what you did.
Oh man, it looks like it's you, Kat. Still.
Is it really me? Am I 9?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're on.
Yep.
All right, so we're going on to Yuru Camp. Okay, so like this one, Ren and Nadeshiko were planning to go on a camping trip together. But then I guess Nadeshiko gets a cold. But like, okay, so she got a cold for like a day. Like that doesn't happen. Like that's not a thing. Like
She's
you
a
don't get
moe
sick-
girl, Kat. This is one of the benefits of being a moe girl. You can recover from anything as long as you're moe.
If you got better in a day, you weren't really fucking sick. You were being a pussy. That's what I think. Just saying. So like, okay, so Nadeshiko gets sick, so she's like, oh, I can't go. And so like Rin goes by herself. So like she talks about how she has to go through the Southern Alps to get to where she wants to go, which like I didn't follow all the way, but I guess it just means she's going to go through a lot of mountain paths.
And she was going to try and take this road that cuts through, but the road was closed or something. Yeah.
Yeah. So like then she makes this comment when, who is it that messages her? It's not Nadeshiko, it's her other friend.
Chiaki, I think, is the other friend who messages
Yeah.
her. Yeah.
Chiaki like messages her really early in the morning and she's like, you're really up early and you're not usually up early. And she just makes this comment back where she's like, I'm just going to bed, which is so familiar to me because I fucking do this all the time.
Oh, I'm
Like,
sorry. Yeah. No, Rin's friend is named Saito, who messages her. I was confused for a
Okay.
second. Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, no, like that's totally me. I'm such a night owl. And like if I was not constrained to work hours, like I would just stay up until about 5 a.m. every day and then go to sleep. So I was like, I feel you, girl. Okay. So like then like Bcom was saying, Ren gets to this road that is closed and she like gets off her little moped thing And she's like, well, I don't know what to do. Like, I guess I'll look around. She meets this girl who's like there to hike. And we learn it's something called a private restricted car area. And that's why she can't go like further and why the mountain road is closed. And it's like to protect the environment in tourist area. And I was like, no, this sounds terrible. Like, this should not be a thing. If there's a road, like, yeah, no, it's not good. But then again, that's coming from like us, the Americans. I'm sure like in Japan, they're like, this makes total sense to us.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Then the climbers give her some tea. I think it's called like Hojicha tea. I can't quite pronounce it. So I looked this up because I didn't know what it was. And Hojicha is a roasted Japanese tea, which is actually kind of unusual because like most Japanese tea is steamed and it's kind of light. And roasting tea is mostly a Chinese thing. So like, interesting. And it probably tastes kind of smoky, kind of like campfire-y. It's probably good though.
I think I've had it before. It's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. So then Nadeshiko is like messaging Ren, and she's like helping her look up some tourist spots. But then at some point, Nadeshiko like falls asleep, and then Chiaki just like takes the phone and just like keeps messaging her and like pretending to be Nadeshiko. All right. So she suggests like this thing called Mushroom Kingdom, which I was like, the fuck is that? I would not go there.
It looked pretty creepy. They had like a Power Rangers squad too of mushrooms. I was like,
yeah,
what?
no. It's like, mm-mm. And to make it scarier, everything in the show is real. So like, that's a real thing. Somewhere in Japan, they have, I don't know why I'm surprised. It's Japan.
Right, you shouldn't be.
So then Aki ends up making food for everyone, like that Nadeshiko knows, like somehow. Like she starts making food and then like people just keep coming into her house and being like, oh, that looks good, and like sitting down at the table.
It's her mom, and then like her mom and dad shows up, and then like her older sister shows up.
Like a shit ton of people show up. Like she was only planning on making like enough for the two of them, and then all of a sudden she's making like 6 servings. And then so she's making this thing called hoto, which is like a regional dish that's kind of like, it's udon noodles, but they make the noodles like you make dumpling noodles, like dumpling dough. It's like a different way of making it, and it's stewed with vegetables and like a miso base.
Yum.
It does sound good. So I guess like the noodles are more chewy or something, and that's why she has the special noodles. And like I notice the noodles are fresh. They're not dried noodles. And I'm like, what sorcery is this? I have never seen fresh noodles not from a restaurant. Wow. This is like, this would not stand in the US. That's some bullshit.
No, this would not stand in Indiana, because in New York, this is like a normal thing. Like both Italian and like Asian noodles you can get fresh in supermarkets here. Like easy.
That's crazy talk. Like you can only use them for like 2 days, right?
Well, you can put them in like a refrigerator and they last a little bit, but like you should use them like pretty quickly. Because they taste delicious when you use them quickly.
I want to say I have seen them fresh once, but I think I was at like Trader Joe's or something like that. So
yeah, they would have them, and like Italian grocery stores would definitely have some fresh noodles for sure.
I got a local Oriental market. I've been meaning to go in and check that place out. Maybe they'll have them.
Yeah,
but dog temples.
Tell me about this dog temple.
So, like, there's this dog temple that Ren then next visits. And there's these cute little doggy fortunes that you can get, which are really adorable. And Rin has this moment where she's like, oh, this is so expensive. Like, I don't know if I should buy. I'm like, bitch, it's $5. Like, just buy it. Like,
it's so good because she like walks past them and then she turns around and they have all turned to face her, like the dog statues, and she's like, God damn it. And then you just see her in the next scene, she's making like the best face, like she's just so unamused, and she's just holding the little dog, and it just like the subtitle is like, you win, you doggy jerks. It's so good.
Yeah, and like this whole show has sort of a a theme of dogs. Like in almost every episode, there are adorable dogs, right? So like it makes sense that she'd go to a dog temple, and the dogs are really cute, but like pointless, kind of like this show. Like it's adorable, but like ultimately a pointless show, right? But like the dog statues are not fucking cute at all. They're kind of scary. Like for a show, plain. For a show like full of cute dogs, like they're they look very serious. They're just like looking down, like, "Whoa, I'm a serious dog statue." Like, okay. And then it goes back to Nadeshiko's sister. Like, there's another kind of switch of scene, and she's like enjoying the food that Aki cooked, and like she just looks angry. And like Aki's afraid. She's like, if I've done something wrong. And I'm like, I kind of feel like this is also me when I eat food. Like if I look angry, it's probably because I like it.
Well, why is that?
Because like you're focusing on it. Like you're like, this is really good. I'm gonna force my attention onto this food right now.
It's actually a determined face. It's not an actually angry face, is what you're saying.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, so then it flashes back to Rin. She goes to a hot spring. Some really pretty scenery. There's like this...
And this is like the best deal I've ever heard in my life. $10. She got a meal and a soak in the hot spring. Oh my, please. I would be like there every single day. If there was someplace that close.
Like how are things so cheap in Japan? Like all the times I see them talk about food, the food is so cheap.
I was blown away by that. As like the convenience stores, which are incredible there, like it was so affordable. Like you could live so cheaply there and eat really good food. It's really weird.
It's crazy. But yeah, no, like they have this debate between Nadeshiko and Aki, and they're like, you should eat katsudon, you should eat lo mein. And then I guess there's a compromise. And then Rin falls asleep like at the restaurant and has a dream about Nadeshiko. And then she oversleeps, and that's the end of this episode. Like some little notes. There's like she mentions at some point this thing called Senjiki Curl, which is like a very famous tourist attraction, and I looked it up. It's like a mountain ropeway, like through this sort of like bowl-shaped valley that's like especially pretty or something. And actually, the thing I liked the most about it is that Senjojiki or whatever. It actually means like 1,000 tatami mats, and that's why it's called Senjokiki Curl.
Makes sense, yeah.
Because like that's the size of that like valley is like the size of 1,000 tatami mats. And I was like, that's very Japanese. That's seems like what they do.
They definitely love measuring things in tatami mats for sure.
Yeah. And then at some point in this episode, Rin mentions like as an aside to herself that she doesn't like Aki very much. And like I think it's supposed to be a joke, but I also think it's kind of not, because it does seem like Rin doesn't like her very much.
Yeah, definitely. She's like, well, Aki is like pretty abrasive as like a personality, like, and she likes to be in control of things, and Rin definitely likes to be on her own. So yeah.
You Bcom, you also replaced our precious image of Rin with a new one.
I did, yes. You win, you doggy jerks.
So what you're saying, Leo, is that Bcom is the Aki of our group.
Yes, I am the Aki. And you are definitely the Nadeshiko. No, I'm just
Chiaki? You mean Chiaki?
It's Chiaki, yes.
Yeah, Chiaki.
They call her Aki sometimes, though. Like,
yeah, Chiaki or Gaki. Yeah.
Well, but, like,
Leo
when
is
we
the
say
owie.
Chiaki, like, we all know who we think of.
I'm Owie?
Yeah, you're Owie. None of us deserves to be Rin. Rin's too perfect for this world. I had a couple of quick notes on this. They use fake Google at some point in this episode, and it's called Yuru, kind of because it's like Yuru Camp. I don't know. It was funny. There was no OP, like as such. They just played Shiny Days over Rin, like heading out on her trip, and it was pretty awesome. It worked really well. And I love the moment when Nadeshiko realizes she doesn't have like a high temperature anymore, and she like leaps out of bed to go camping, and her sister just grabs her by like the head and like forces her back to sleep. It's just good stuff. And just, yeah, in general, the Rin faces during this episode were just god tier faces. Like, so funny. Oh my god. Like, whoever is drawing Rin's faces is doing the best job ever.
I'd say they're having a lot of fun with it too.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Let's go on to some episode 10, Clumsy Travelers and Camp Meetings. So, just like last episode, Rin was sleeping at the restaurant and she overslept. And so she panics, gets up and she's making her way to the campsite, when she comes to another closed road sign when she is almost there. The roads are against her. She sends a pic to the group chat and Chiaki thinks she can just go around it because it's set off to the side, and she thinks it's just where they did some construction and they just didn't pick the sign up, which turns out to be true. She ends up making it to the campsite and has a funny scene like where the wind keeps blowing her tent around and she sets it up. So it's just different scenes of her just chasing her tent and trying to stake it down and all this fun stuff.
And she's like panting as she runs after her tent like a little dog. She's like, she's like running after, just making these funny noises.
She goes to the top of the mountain when she finally got her tent set up, and she goes up there to have supper and make some tea and whatnot. And she does something really interesting. Earlier, she bought a steamed pork bun, and she toasts it on her little setup.
Oh my god, that looks so good.
It looked good.
Oh man,
real
my,
good.
Oh
my
God.
mouth was like drooling. And then I just want to make an aside note. Of course, did you notice that Bcom totally made a note of those noises? He was like, "Oh, these noises."
No, it's because they were funny.
That's why.
Oh, jeez.
These guys are funny.
So, all right, I lost my place. Okay, I found it again. Chiaki ends up asking Rin if she would like to go on their Christmas vacation camping trip, and she declines. But then Ina messages her and kind of ribs at her to get her to go, and she eventually accepts later on in the episode.
She basically convinces her to go because she's like, I'm gonna bring my cute dog. The cute dog will be there. And Rin's like, damn it, my one weakness.
So the second half of the episode is just them planning their Christmas party trip. Aoi won some delicious meat that she's going to bring on the trip. Ina got a super expensive sleeping bag because her father thinks she will need it.
Oh God.
And Miss Chug gets roped into being the club's advisor. The girls beg Rin to find a spot that has a grassy area and a hot spring and all these other things. At first she's like, what the heck, guys, you're driving me insane. Then she's like, oh wait, I think I do know of one. And finally, Nadeshiko uses a phone app to draw glasses and a hood and a beer on Miss Chug's picture, and she recognizes her as the drunk lady.
Finally, yeah.
Also, did we talk about how she got roped into being the club advisor?
No, I kind of went over that. One of the other teachers was just slightly overseeing them.
Just
and then
slightly.
he just
Yeah.
and then he just kind of just forces it on her, and at the end just ends up running out of the room. He's like, I'll let the principal know.
No, so aren't they making a campfire in the back of the school? And
Yeah.
she's like, how dare it? You let them make a campfire in the back of the school. And he's like, it's fine, whatever. And it's almost like he was waiting for someone to complain. He's been waiting to get these bitches off his to-do list all year. And finally someone took the bait. And as soon as she does, he's like, oh, well, I mean, you seem to know a lot about camping, so why don't you do it instead? You can oversee them. I'm so glad we agreed to this. And then he's out the door.
Yeah.
It was good.
Yes, it made me laugh. It wasn't one of your favorite episodes, but I still really enjoyed it. I particularly enjoyed it because there was a lot of Rin this episode, and Rin's the best.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad
She's so
episode
good.
because most of these episodes are cute, even if they're not amazing. It's just some of it was really good and some of it was just for me.
All right, one really funny thing during this episode, when they're having the Christmas camp strategy meeting, just go back to that scene and listen to the background music because it's so friggin' ridiculous. There's a kazoo playing and it's just got this wicked solo. It goes on forever. I was just thinking about man, the dude playing that kazoo really went for it. It's so dumb. I can't wait to get the whole soundtrack for this show.
I actually
the
did not
soundtrack's
notice
great
that
and the
at all.
OP and ED are both amazing, so I can't wait.
Interesting. I really will have to go back now.
It's really
I have
funny.
to go back too. I don't remember that part.
Yeah, it was like it's in the background and sometimes music fades into the background, but I kept hearing this fucking kazoo. And I'm like, what is this? It's so ridiculous.
I kind of feel bad that this guy just worked really hard on this kazoo solo. Like,
I mean, it sounds fun. It's
it.
nice. But oh my god, it's funny.
All right. You guys ready for some City of Hitmen?
Hell yeah.
Yes, I'm excited.
Cool. So, Hakata Tonkotsu Ramens, Episode 9, Hit and Run. We find out why Lin has trust issues and doesn't want to trust Bamba too much. So, basically, back when he was a child, his mother refused to sell either child, even though she was sick and poor. Lin sells himself instead and ends up at a place that was a former prison, but is now a training compound for training assassins. Everybody's paired with somebody else, and over the 5 years that they are in there, Lin becomes very good friends with the boy named Fei Lan. Together, by supporting each other through all the trials and becoming the top of their class, they have made it to the final exam, which is locking both of them in a cage with a lot of weapons, and only one will survive. Fei easily betrays Lin. Apparently, he planned this out all along. He knew the whole ordeal. He explains why he murdered his other friend and set up like a suicide so he'd get out of it. And he's like, he never considered him a friend the whole time, and he will do anything to survive the camp. Lin does get the upper hand in the end and slashes Fei's eye and stabs him in the gut. We think Fei is dead, but after the credits, it shows him grown up and alive, and he finds the location of Lin. And that is that episode in a nutshell. Just a little Lin backstory.
All right, I need to bitch about this company of assassins and their business strategy.
I did the same thing. I was like, that's a horrible idea, but go ahead. You got this.
Right. Isn't it just like a waste of time and resources to have the final exam for your assassination school be performed in such a way that half of your student body dies? Like, it just makes no sense.
And housed them for 5 years. That's a huge financial loss.
It's such an investment that you're just like, we're going to throw this away.
This happens a lot in a lot of things, not just anime, but like books I read, like shit. And I agree, like it is kind of bullshit. Like even Naruto does this. Like they have a thing where, which was it like the Village in the Mist? And they basically do the same thing. Like they train all of these ninja for like 5 or 6 years, and they're like, well, kill each other.
The ultimate test, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
I thought Game of Thrones had like a better idea for this, because like when the Unsullied like army, like the one that Grey Worm is originally a part of, are trained, like in the books, they're forced to like raise this puppy from the time that they're little kids. And by the end of their training, when they're full-grown men, like they're forced to kill the puppy with their own hands, which is horrible. But at least they're not killing each other. Like at least it makes more sense. I don't know.
At least it makes more corporate sense.
Yeah.
Have you seen the Kingsman movie?
I have, and you're right. They did that too. Yeah.
They do the exact same thing, and he picks a pug because he thought it was like a vicious dog or something like that, or a bulldog. I think, I don't remember.
Also, in Game of Thrones, they don't only make them kill the puppy; they also make them go out and find like a mother with a newborn baby and like kill the baby in front of the mom. Like I don't know if you remember that part.
I do. Yeah, no, you're totally right. See, Game of Thrones thought this through. Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
I was also just slightly disappointed because this was a big backstory episode about Lin, and I was hoping to get like a little bit more information on why he cross-dresses. But like,
you got nothing.
We got nothing on that this episode. Like, I was hoping for a little bit more, but it's all right. We sort of understand why he does, vaguely at least, so it's all right.
Oh, you guys got anything else?
No, I mean, I agree with Bcom that I really like Lin as a character, and I hope we get more on him. And I also hope we get more on Bamba, too, because they're my favorites. Them and their ship. Okay, but go on. Go on, Leah.
Well, Bamba's a little bit of the mystery man, so I'll be surprised if we get much on him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'll see.
Episode 10, Shortstop.
The position that Lin shouldn't play.
Yeah, definitely. That nobody should ever play that has never played it before.
Yeah.
like the position. Like even put him at pitcher. Maybe he'll just be lucky. So Sayuri, Bamba's ex, shows up while he is out, and her and Lin talk for a bit about him. It's kind of funny and cute because Lin's like, "Oh, tell me more about Bamba," because he knows nothing about him. But then Bamba does come back, and he barely gets anything out of her before Bamba does his business with her, which was she was to get a list of all the executives of the Kakyo Association. He's going to take them down because they are still after the Niwaka samurai, and it's a pain in his side. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, Shunsuke employer is meeting with the Shangwang group, who wants to move into the territory since the Kakyo Association is kind of in trouble at the moment. They request him to kill 2 of the executives of the Kakyo Association to prove the worth of the submarine ninja, which is what's his name got.
I forget his actual name, but just because I keep thinking of him as the submarine guy. Yeah, so
yeah.
And I didn't have it up in my anime list before I started this, so
that's all right. I can find it while you're reading. Don't worry about it.
So Bamba and Lin go to one of the executive's office disguised as another group that he was supposed to be meeting with later on. Lin is kind of comically disguised as Bamba's secretary, and then of course Bamba and Lin kill everybody in the room, move on to the next executive. At the same time, the submarine ninja kills his first target and leaves a throwing star at the site as his calling card. He goes to the second target and finds them all dead. It's the target that Bamba and Lin killed. Well, then at the same time, Bamba and Lin show up at their next target and they find him dead. They each killed, their second targets.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the submarine guy is named Shinsuke.
Shinsuke. Yeah. So Suzuki, the current head of the Kakyo Association, orders that the rest of the executives go into hiding. They also hire a hitman that turns out to be Fei Lan. The guy.
Dun.
Yeah. Yeah. Lin feels like he must leave before he gets too comfortable around Bamba and runs into Inokita before he makes it out of the city. Inokita asks him to do a favor for him and kill another assassin that killed one of his informants. Lin starts to freak out when he sees the video footage because it's of Fei Lin. Fei Lin is tasked with attacking a drug spot for the Shangwang group, and the submarine ninja is asked to go and save the drug spot that is currently being attacked. The episode ends with those two people squaring off, and Lin's probably on his way also. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be probably a lot of action next episode, I'd say.
Maybe.
Yeah. There was that point during this episode where Lin was like, I probably shouldn't trust Bamba. And it's the drama that's supposed to be set up like in any anime. It's like, oh, I don't trust him. But also you probably shouldn't trust Bamba because you don't know anything about this guy. And neither do we. We know very little about him. So I understand why Lin is a little distrusting.
It's justified. Also, I want to point out originally I had hoped that this series would be 24 episodes and it's only going to be 12. So I don't know how they're going to sum this all up. I feel like we're gonna be left wanting.
maybe they'll finish and be look forward to season 2 coming
2023.
So.
I hope so.
Yeah, but
I also don't think it's been popular enough with enough people.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's if I had to title something as a hidden gem, I would say it was this one because I didn't expect it to be as interesting as it has been.
Yeah,
I agree totally.
And I've really enjoyed just watching it.
I love this show.
Yeah, it's fun to watch week to week.
Bcom hasn't knocked on it once for animation, I don't think.
No, the animation has always been pretty darn good in this show, actually, for Studio Satellite. It's pretty damn good for them.
I'm just sad that the majority of the anime community has not loved this show. It's not that they hate it. It's just a lot of people aren't watching it.
That's the big thing. I don't think people just really even know about it for the most part.
Not enough moe girls. So I'm telling you.
I would like to. You got Lin. What more do you need?
That's true.
Lin, hello.
I would like to counter argue that he probably can trust Bamba a little bit more because Bamba has done nothing up to this point but give him a place to sleep, feed him. I think save him on a couple occasions. When he's been completely unconscious, he could have easily killed him at one point.
Right.
And sure, you can argue, Bamba has ulterior motives to use him, but still, he has not. It's really, I feel like he's just straight down the middle ground. He shouldn't, but he could trust Bamba.
Yeah, and it would be pretty dumb at this point if like Bamba turned out to be like a bad guy. Like that would be weird. So yeah.
Oh, that would be really weird. No, he doesn't seem like a bad guy at all.
All right, let's move on to the next spooky show.
Boo.
This is Cat again.
Ooh. Okay, so this one is Painter / Blood Bubble. So,
and what's the show?
Oh, sorry. Junji Ito. What else, bitches? What else has Blood Bubble in the title?
Blood Bubble Bushes.
I love how you put in like quotations after the director. Diabolic Lovers rated 5.7 on Mal.
Look,
this director doesn't have the best track record. That's all I'm saying.
Previously in there, I said I went Bcom. I watched Diabolical Lovers. You would hate on that show so fucking hard. It would be ridiculous.
Avoided it for a reason.
Diabolic Lovers is fucking good. It's not.
What?
It's not their fault that they did a terrible job of the anime.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, the anime is not good. The original materials.
The girl is abused 24/7 by multiple men.
Cat's like, that's what I want.
All right, go on with the episode.
Okay. All right. So. All right. So the first part is this woman who like all the dudes hang out with, and like all the dudes who come in contact with her seem to just fall in love with her like obsessively and become like not just obsessed but like violently obsessed with her. So like first it shows her going and like meeting this painter, and he's not really into her at first, but like she makes him into her by like basically insulting his other model. Which, okay, I was like, if someone just comes in your studio and like makes it so you don't have a model anymore, you should probably be like, fucking bitch, get out. Like, you shouldn't be like, ooh, now I'm interested in you. Like, that's dumb.
Well, she shows up at his like exhibit, and then later on just fucking walks into his house.
Yep.
Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and like his reaction isn't like, why the fuck's this bitch in my house? His reaction is like, oh, I guess I'm gonna paint her. Like, that's dumb. So
this is why I don't like Ito. I think most of the horror stories are dumb.
Well, sometimes there's weird reactions, but I do like Ito because, as I'll talk about later, like some of the shows in particular kind of hit on, I feel like, stressful things that people worry about a lot and like are kind of people's worst nightmare, right?
Right.
And in that way, like, he's really good. But okay, so like she convinces him to paint her. He paints her and she isn't happy with it, and she's like, fuck this, like, I'm leaving. Then she goes to a sculptor and she's like happy with his work, and like she just seems to be obsessed with capturing her own beauty. So she's happy with the sculptures that he's making of her, but then he, like, the sculptor gets all violent and creepy and like destroys all the statues that he made because he's like, only I can have her. And I'm like, all right, so like you're off the deep end at this point. And so like then the painter has been obsessed with this girl for months, from my understanding. Mm-hmm. And like he finds out that she is at the sculptor's house. So he goes and I feel like he planned to like kill the dude and kidnap her like from the start. And so he goes and he's like, where is she? And he's like, I'm not letting you in. And he just like kills the dude. Take a step back. Like, I mean, it does turn out that he was holding her hostage or whatever. And so like he gets away with it. But like he did not know that when he killed that dude. Like,
no, he was just completely obsessed and overcome with that. Yeah.
So then he paints her again. But like he paints her with like weirdly two heads. Because like he has this weird hallucination of her with like two heads.
Mm-hmm.
And she gets really upset and she's like, what do you mean?
One's like really disfigured. It's weird.
Yeah.
Like
and she's like drooling out the side of her mouth and shit. And she's like, what do you mean? This is not what I meant. And he's like, but you're so beautiful. And I'm like, yeah, you're also at the deep end. And then like, because she's upset and is going to leave him, he freaks the fuck out and is like I'm just gonna chop you into little pieces, and just like starts cutting her into tiny pieces.
Cut my muse into pieces. This is my last resort.
This is when like the narrator steps in, or I think it's like her voice, and she's like, "But everybody who was ever obsessed with me always wanted to cut me into pieces in the end." And oh god, it's just so weird what happens next.
Then like all the pieces of her like start growing into individual people, and you're like, how many of these bitches are there gonna be? Like,
yeah,
a lot.
Which is interesting. Earlier on, she says, "I'm the only one like me," but then there must be like a fucking bajillion of her.
Yeah, really.
Point. I got really excited at the beginning of this episode because when she said her name, Tomie, I recognized it because Tomie is like a 20-chapter Junji Ito story, basically. So like it's one of his bigger works. And I know that they're putting out like special episodes on their Blu-ray release that are going to be also about Tomie. So it's funny that they made like one episode in the series itself, and then they're going to make like 2 more specials about Tomie. Okay. But yeah, I thought her character was like pretty interesting. Like this isn't scary really, but it's just kind of like
unsettling,
an exploration of like human urges and obsession and beauty and vanity and stuff. Yeah, it's kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so then they go on to the next story, which is about this couple is walking...
Children of the Corn.
Yeah, pretty much. So this couple is walking around through the woods, as you apparently do. I don't know why. And then they're attacked by like creepy vampire...
The car broke down.
I guess. It's such a horror trope, right? So like they're attacked by creepy vampire children who are just like, ooh, and like bite them and shit. And yeah. And
then they get bit, right? And then the guy is like to his wife or girlfriend or whatever, he's like, well, that must have just been a prank gone a little too far. I was like, no, get the fuck out of there. These
you were just
random like zombie children just bit you.
Children. Yeah, it's not a prank, dude.
That was ridiculous.
So like they find this guy's house and they're like, we should probably go and like get bandaged up and stuff because we got bite wounds all over us. And like while he's helping them, he tells them this creepy ass story about like, I used to love this girl and it's like the love of my life, and she turned into a giant blood fruit plant, and that's the story of me. And they're just like, okay, and they're just like nodding as if this is normal, and they don't leave. They're not like, this guy is fucking crazy. They're just like, this sounds fine, and they just stay like overnight in his house, which is so ridiculous. And there's this like flashback scene when he's talking about like this girl he used to love, where you see her and she's just like, oh, even my blood hates me. It wants to escape. I'm so emo. Weird part. I'm going to cut myself now. Like, whatever you say, girl. So then the dude like wakes up in the middle of the night. He like stumbles out and like sees the giant like blood fruit like plant thing, and he's like, holy shit. And there's like this guy like still alive and attached to it, and he's like, oh, he planted us all here, like you gotta get out. And so he takes his like wife or girlfriend and just like leaves, but oh, it's too late, and they're already also growing blood fruit out of themselves.
Yeah, and then they have like a choice. They can either like become like one of those corpses, or they can eat like the blood fruit. But if they do, then they become like vampires forever, essentially. So yeah,
they become like the little kids where they just craved other people's blood, which is super weird.
The only other thing I noticed about this episode is like the young man like vampire is voiced by Akira Ishida again, who's from Rakugo, who plays Yakumo in Rakugo. He's got this like instantly recognizable voice for me now. It's really good. Yep. But yeah, anything else on that one before I move on to this disgusting, greasy next episode?
Oh my god, this is the one I was talking about, where this is like a fear that everyone has like in the back of their mind when they're teenagers, right? About like grease and pimples and shit.
There's something like really visceral about this episode to me. Like, like so basically there's this like sister who lives in her family's yakiniku restaurant, and the whole room, everything is covered in oil. and it's just weird, and it keeps getting like oilier and oilier. And her brother Goro, like she sees him one day just like drinking straight up vegetable oil out of the bottle, which is so disgusting to imagine, like, and think about, like, oh my god. And she says like her father like smells terrible, and like everything is awful, and like her brother starts getting like pimples all over his face because he's drinking so much oil. And then there's one time when he comes home from getting bullied at school for being like an ugly pimply kid, and she goes and sees him in his room, and she like says, she lets it slip like, oh, disgusting, like when she's looking at his pimple, he like pops a pimple and it squirts like on her face a little bit, and she's like, oh, that's disgusting, and he's like, oh, I'll show you disgusting, and he like pushes her down.
The scene.
I really cringed at this scene because like he pushes all of the pimples on his face together and they all like ooze out on top of her. It is so disgusting.
Yeah, it's like, so he just squeezes his whole face and he's like leaning over her, and like all of the, you know how like when you pop a pimple and like it's like a string, and like all of the strings are just coming down like off his face and like onto her face. And I was like, and I was actually trying to eat like food. And
you picked the worst episode to do that.
And like as the scene happened, like I was like, I can't, and I don't usually get squeamish, and I had to like put it aside for a second and like wait until this episode was done.
And she gets out of it only because like her father comes and like hits Goro in the back of the head with like a shovel. And basically kills him because like it's hinted at that like these two guys come to the restaurant like the next day, or like they came the next day, but then they come back again because they're like, oh, there was really good meat that day. It was really fatty. And it's very clear that like they ate some Goro at the restaurant that day.
Yeah. All I can say at the end of this episode, I was at work and I wanted to leave. I just wanted to go home and take a fucking shower.
It's so bad.
It was so disgusting. Like they were talking about like the oil in the house was just like soaking into the futon mattresses,
into the bathtub, everything. Like everything. Yeah. And so like as the episode goes on, like it gets oilier and oilier, and Yui starts having these nightmares, right, about like Mount Fuji like exploding like a volcano of oil. And she wakes up one night and she realizes that she gets pimples too, and she realizes that her dad is like force feeding her oil down her throat. So she realizes her dad's been feeding her oil, and that's why she's been getting pimples and everything. And it just gets she starts staying up at night because she can't like let him do this anymore. And then like one night he like cuts off his own foot in like the basement, and he doesn't even bleed because he's just 100% made of oil, and oil just flows out of him. And that's basically how the episode ends. It's just really weird, or not how the episode, but that the first part of the episode ends like that. It's disgusting. The second part is like a lot like calmer, really. It's just like this granddaughter goes to visit her grandmother who lives at like a house, like her traditional family house, and her husband had died like a while before. And like when the daughter gets there, her granddaughter gets there, she sees this like ghostly man on the bridge who is apparently her dead great uncle King Goro, who is like a zombie ghost that has appeared ever since the grandmother has like been on her own after her husband died. And basically the grandmother tells her this old story about how the town used to handle their funerals, which was that they would put people on a raft and send them downstream underneath this bridge. But sometimes they would just hit the bridge and they would fall off the raft and drown into the river. And I guess...
Yeah, that's messed up.
Yeah. So everybody that has happened for has now turned into like a ghost that haunts this bridge. And they are all calling out to the grandmother like every night, like, Osode-chan, like, come to us, like, blah, blah, blah. And so eventually by the end, like the grandmother just basically tells like her granddaughter, I don't have much time, but just please don't let me be like drowned in this river. I just bury me in the ground, please. I'm too afraid of what would happen. But like in the end, basically, it turns out like the granddaughter was kind of like dreaming in her car. She had fallen asleep. But then when she gets to the house, like it looks like everything has basically happened the way it played out in her dream. And so she gets there and her grandmother has like passed away and is on a raft going underneath the bridge, and she like drowns into the water and like follows the rest of her ancestors and villagers like to the same death. And so I guess she'll be a ghost forevermore too. So I don't know, it was just like a little like a little bit unsettling.
She was also joining her first betrothed.
Yeah.
Her
like,
husband.
Oh, they can finally get married, but like she's so old now, and I'm like,
yeah, that was a kind of funny comment because I guess he died at an early age because he got like killed hunting in the mountains or something.
He was 20 years old and he's like the biggest guy in the village, and like a tree fell on him or something like that.
It was kind of funny how like he's so tall that he gets stuck on the bridge like going sideways, and so they had to like pull him through the bridge to like make him drown. It was dumb. I don't know. I didn't really get much out of the second part of this episode, but the oil part did more than enough to freak me out.
Yeah, that was more than enough for an episode.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, this is a good horror series. I know you guys don't like it, but like that visceralness, that means it's working. That's a good horror series.
Yeah, that definitely worked. I do wish like the animation and the art quality was better, like because that would make everything even scarier. But
yeah, I heard the biggest thing is like what they're drawing and animating doesn't compare to how it was drawn in the manga, and that was the big selling point. Mm-hmm. And like I said at the very beginning, scary stories to tell in the dark or whatever, that's the big selling point of that, is that the pictures that was drawn for that are just utterly terrifying.
Yeah, Junji Ito is just a master of like really powerful imagery that just like stays with you and like you can't get it out of your head. So yeah, I don't know. They capture some of that in this show, and so it works well enough. But
it's a shame.
Let's move on to some more powerful imagery. Imagery.
Some of that sexual energy, sexual tension.
Oh, yeah.
Darling in the FranXX. So episode 9 is called Triangle Bomb. All right, so this one...
Triangle Bomb! I feel like that's from something.
Yeah, I don't know. One day a year, the parasites can ask their papa for any present they want.
I know. I'm sorry. I know what it's from. It's from... darn it, it's a movie. It's Scott Pilgrim Saves the World. It's the name of the band.
Oh, Sex Bomb.
Yeah, she's like, we're the Sex Bomb. That's where I was coming from. Nice. All right. Sorry to interrupt.
So it's like Christmas, right? They each get a present, and like Hiro feels bad for 002 because like she's left out of this. So he gives her this mirror that like I guess some old parasite named Naomi had left behind in the mansion. And Ichigo oversees this, and she's really jealous as usual. But this episode is really focused on Goro and him coming to an understanding, like with Ichigo and like with himself about how he feels, because he's clearly realized now that like this love he has for Ichigo is one-sided and is unrequited, because she only has eyes for Hiro. And he admits this like openly to Hiro for like the first time, like, hey, I love her, but like I know she loves you, and it feels good to get off his chest, basically.
He just looks
he's
really
been thinking this for a million years.
Like after he says that, like he's just like, I love her, and like I know she loves you, and he just looks like so at peace.
Yeah, he's just totally at peace, which worried me because I was like, oh no, are they going to kill him off this episode? I got worried.
Oh shit.
So like a new Klaxosaur is on the way. So they go out to meet it, and it's different from before. It's got these weird tentacles, and the body can like blob up and absorb you. And that's what happens to Zorame and Miku, who get like trapped inside for a little bit. But Goro and Ichigo take their FranXX and like knock them out of there. But that means that then Goro and Ichigo are like trapped inside. And this Klaxosaur can like self-destruct itself basically by like releasing these vapors and exploding them. So it does that, and Goro realizes this is going to happen. So he launches Ichigo out of the FranXX to save her basically before she can take this damage. But that means he's now trapped inside the FranXX with no way to move it because he can't pilot it without a girl. So everybody else had gone back to base, and they like contact him basically saying like, don't freak out, but you're inside a dinosaur or Klaxosaur thing right now. We're trying to think of a way to save you. And then there's this kind of funny scene because Miku is just yelling at Ichigo for not appreciating Goro for like always looking out for her and protecting her, and the whole time Zorome is just like squirming around in like the background of this fight. He's like, oh, I don't want to get in between these scary girls they're fighting right now, and he keeps like sneaking out of frame. Eventually they all decide like, okay, we're gonna go save Goro somehow. But the commanders are like, the first priority is to protect the plantation, so we're going to blow Goro up if we have to. So luckily, though, 02 has a plan. She remembered seeing this exhaust vent on top of the Klaxosaur. So they decide to just like throw Ichigo in there in just her suit, and she's gonna like swim through the middle of the Klaxosaur to get back to the FranXX, which is a daring plan, but it works out. She gets back there. Just before she does, though, like Goro is like running out of life support, and he flashes back to like when he was a little kid and he would used to get bullied, and he just remembers that Ichigo like offered her hand to him basically at one point. She's like, why do you pick fights that you can't win when you're so weak? And she's like, why don't you like let me help you, because if we team up we can win together. And that's basically what happened. Like they fought off his bullies together, and she's like, see, we won. He like loved her ever since that day when they were little kids. Basically that's why he loves her. And so he's planning to like save her by like self-destructing. He doesn't know that she's coming back for him. And so like he's about to hit the self-destruct on the FranXX until she comes like splashing in from the outside. She's like, just the same thing as like when she was a little kid, like we can win together, and like smiles at him. And so they do. They like get out of the Klaxosaur, and they like leave behind like an exploding like reactor inside of it, and it blows it up. And when they get out, when Ichigo had been swimming, she like lost this little barrette that Hiro had gave her when he was a child, and it had always made Goro kind of like regretful because he had wanted to give her one too, but Hiro beat him to it. And so
like he had actually made it. He was literally like 5 seconds late.
Although
exactly.
I don't know how both of their hair clips look exactly the same.
Yeah. I guess they both made them in like arts and crafts or something together. I don't know. And so, yeah, like Goro's like, when Ichigo realizes it's missing, she's worried about it. And she's like, he's like, don't worry, I have one right here. And she's like, oh, you picked it up for me? And he's like, no, it's like the one I meant to give you a long time ago. And like, he tells her that like, I love you. And I just want you to know that, basically, is what he says. And she doesn't know how to react, but she just says like, thank you for being my partner. And yeah, that's basically how they end up that episode. I thought it was a pretty sweet episode. I like Goro as a character. I don't know about you guys.
This episode made me like him a lot more.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think he's a pretty good character. I felt like they really pulled back on the sex metaphors this episode, though. Yeah,
I can see what you're saying about that. Yeah.
So that was interesting because I know it picks up again after all that. Mm-hmm. But I think my biggest interest is in Ikuno.
Yeah, and don't worry, she's got some stuff coming up soon.
Yeah, I have seen up to episode 11. Ironically, we were both editing the doc at the exact same time earlier. But yeah, I want to know what's up more with her deal and stuff like that. So,
well, they're getting around to her. So that was the Goro episode. Episode 10 is a Zorome episode. And he starts out with this weird dream where he's like...
Well, I would even say the next episode's him also.
Yeah, in some ways, yeah, you're right.
Him and Kokoro.
Mm-hmm. Oh, no, well, no. The next episode is like Kokoro and Futoshi and Mitsuru. Zorome is like the little annoying guy. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
It starts off with this weird...
Zorome, oh yeah, never mind.
Okay. Starts out with this weird dream where Zorome is like basically... the way I took it is like he was remembering being birthed from a womb. Because he's like approaching this light at the end of this long tunnel. But I don't know. It didn't really play into the rest of the episode too much, but except in maybe the very end. So anyway, like there's this conversation between like the High Council about how like the parasites are like outperforming everyone else who's ever been a parasite because they've been allowed to go through puberty and just like mess around. And so they're like, I guess we'll give them medals now. So they have them all come to the inner city for the first time ever. They've never been in the city except for like that one time when Hiro looked at it with 02. And there's like this government official that like gives them like a medal and like praises each of them. And like when he gets to Zorome like wants to shake his hand and the official just like doesn't. He just walks away, which was kind of weird and awkward.
Yeah, I don't know what purpose that served.
I think it's
until later on the next episode, they start hinting about some type of disease.
Well, yeah, even in this episode and before, they've said like these are infected people, like the parasites are infected, so they're definitely not looked at as like equals to these adults. And like, yeah, for a city, they walk around a little bit and it's like extremely lifeless. There's like barely anyone walking around at all. And Zorome gets curious though, and he like wanders off, and he eventually spends like the second half of this episode, like he starts following this woman. Well, he doesn't know if it's a woman at first. He just follows this person in like a hood, and he like tumbles down a wall and falls unconscious. And so she takes him back to her house and like treats him in her like little medical pod thing. And she's like, oh yeah, it didn't work for you at first because we have like a different like bodily makeup than the parasites. So I had to put it on pet mode so it would heal you. And he's like, okay. So he asks her if like he can chat with her for a little bit because like he has so many freaking questions about becoming an adult. And she reveals her face, and she's really elderly, and she has these like empty purple eyes and looks kind of otherworldly. She sprays this whole room with like disinfectant before like she sits down to eat with him. And like he eats like these cookies really fast, and she doesn't eat anything. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry. And she's like, oh, don't worry about it. I don't have like a sense of taste anymore, really. I just get the proper amount of nutrients I need, and I don't really care about taste. And then she introduces him to her partner. And she says like, yeah, adults have partners because it's like based on this old tradition from the old world where like people would live together, man and wife, in order to like procreate. But when she introduces like her partner, it's like he's inside this like almost like cryogenic chamber where he's hooked up to like machinery, and his brain's like reward center is being activated so he can experience his quote dose of happiness for that day or something.
He looks like he's in his own version of Inception.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah,
flat out.
So like afterwards, like Zorome's been talking to her a lot, so she like collapses on the couch because she's exhausted from talking. And he's like, well, don't you talk to your partner? And she's like, nah, we don't really talk. I don't even remember what his voice sounds like. We just stay out of each other's business and live the lives we want, because why would we get in the way of what each other wants? And Zorome's like, I can't even begin to tell you how much I have to fucking hear Miko scream at me. Like, my partner is so different.
He's lucky to
and yeah, the woman's like, well, maybe you were matched wrong. And Zorome's like, no, I mean, I'm probably the only one in our entire squad who could deal with how cranky she gets, and I don't mind when she fights with me. And she's like, oh, I guess it's not a problem then. And so Zorome like is feeling close to this woman. He's like, when I become an adult, can I come back here and can we be like family? Or he starts to say family, but he's like, can we be friends at least? And she's like, well, actually that's kind of out of the question because you're a parasite. And like she gets cut off because like these government officials show up to take Zorome back home. But basically she was probably about to tell him like, you're never going to make it to adulthood. Because that's been hinted many times. So he goes back to the mansion. He argues with Miku, and he monologues that he thought about like that woman a lot after that day, but eventually forgot about her and stopped having the dream from the beginning of the episode of being like birthed from a womb.
Did they ever say how long that episode was? Where he forgot about her?
How long?
Yeah.
He basically said like, I thought about her like for like the rest of my life, or for like a long time after that. Because it seemed like it was him speaking from far in the future. thinking back on that time. So yeah, I don't know.
So they never gave an exact time of transition.
Yeah. I got this. Sorry, you go, Kat.
I feel like a lot of like this episode, especially like the whole series has these themes, but this episode especially has a lot of themes in it that like Japan as a society is kind of struggling with right now. Like the idea of like classism and like the breakdown of the family and older generations like preying off of younger generations. Mm-hmm. Like, because those are things that Japan is kind of struggling with right now. So it makes sense that they're in this.
Yeah, and I got it very heavily like hinted to me. I feel like that Zorome like thinks of this woman as his mother. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if she feels the same way, because like she sort of starts to reach out to him at one point to like comfort him, but then thinks better of it. So I don't know if that's her like wishing that she had a son, or if that's her like thinking that Zorome is her son, or what it is. But there's some disconnect there where Zorome is like thinking about like how he misses the idea of having a family and having a mother, and her feeling a little bit of the same way. Because I think as much as she talks about how like everything's fine, her home life is not exactly happy with her partner. So yeah.
Yeah, my whole thing, I felt like this episode raised a ton of questions and didn't answer barely anything for me.
Yeah.
I want to know what's up with the adults. The title suggests the city of Eternity. Does nobody die anymore?
She seems real old, so...
Yeah, and like... And also, what are the parasites affected with? And then also, Zero 2 is super bummed out this entire episode. Mm-hmm. We have no... I didn't see a single thing leading up to why she is, other than that she actually knows the truth, and realizes that maybe they will be finding this out later on, and that's what's got her bummed out. She's like, "Oh, this is gonna suck."
Yeah, and we're maybe just like looking at like this is what we're defending. We're defending these like immortal people who don't care about living life and like.
Immortal and fragile.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm sure she hates that idea. But
yeah, like why do I have to risk my own life for yours?
Yeah, I'm really fascinated by this world. Like they've definitely built up a really unique and interesting world for the series. Mm-hmm. Like, and every time I see more about it, I'm like, I want more. Like, give me more.
And every time I see more about it, I think of Gurren Topen Lagann, because it's so. I know it's the same people, but it's that I loved that world building. It was so crazy and grand, and like I just know this one's going to do the same thing. And I've heard rumors that like mid-season is just going to be just like bam or something. I don't know.
Probably, yeah. I know episode 11 is exciting, so stay tuned for that next week. That'll be fun.
Oh, yeah.
But now that we've finished talking about all the actually respectable shows this season...
So everybody else, nice listening. See you later.
No, there's this one little thing we got to discuss just real quick. It's the CiTRASH update.
You're going to talk about
episode 9, Love Is. So the pink hair girl, you remember her, who is crazy, Matsuri. She follows through.
Even give this show title.
She follows through on her extortion of May by like threatening her with like revealing the picture of May kissing her that she got last episode. And so Matsuri has set up a meeting with one of her clients. Remember, she like sends messages and like fake pictures of herself to like older guys, like masturbating and stuff. So anyway, she's like, May, you have to go meet with one of these guys in person, or else I'm going to tell Yuzu about your secret. And so also this whole scene, Matsuri is like sexually assaulting May because it's citrus. Meanwhile, May tells Yuzu to go on a date with Matsuri because the girl has problems and clearly needs Yuzu's help. But the date doesn't go well because Yuzu keeps mentioning May and it pisses Matsuri off. And so she eventually lets it slip that like, May is off like fucking some old guy right now. And Yuzu's like, what the fuck? And so she leaves and gets pissed. But luckily she gets to May, and May was able to like talk her way out of it with this guy. She's safe and sound. And Matsuri basically like admits defeat at this point, like just basically saying that like May is clearly like the winner here, and May tells her like, we're just both lucky, like we're like sick, empty people, both of us, and we're lucky that like somebody like Yuzu exists who can give their love so freely even if we don't deserve it. And Matsuri, when they leave, Matsuri like leaves to go home, and she's like, oh, by the way, when you guys figure your shit out, we should have a threesome.
Oh yeah.
And of course this whole debacle brings May and Yuzu closer together. And May is like, you've helped me with my grandfather and with my dad, and it's about time that we did something you wanted to do. And so she like unbuttons her shirt and is like, touch me, Yuzu. And like, she's like, are you willing to look inside me? Because there's both terrifying and wonderful things. So it picks up right from that moment in episode 10, and Yuzu actually stops that like interaction because she's afraid. Like it got real for her, I guess. And it's also like one of the first times where May actually asked Yuzu if she consented before just like forcing herself on her. And in this time, Yuzu says like, no, I don't want to do this. And so like a month passes by and they haven't really talked about what happened. Like May just basically accepted it and got off of her and like went away. She's probably thinking to herself like, what the fuck is going on with this girl? Like, I'm sure she doesn't understand why she didn't want to like make out or whatever. But Yuzu basically meets there's two new characters introduced. They're these twin sisters. They both have light purple hair. One is like really short and she's the older sister, and one is really tall with really big boobs and she's the younger sister. They're all going on a school trip. What?
When do twins turn out so different?
Well, they're non-identical twins. I don't know.
It occasionally happens. There are so many twins in anime, and like there are not this many fucking sets of twins in real life as show up in anime.
So I personally is kind of accepting of this because I do have twin cousins, Morgan and Megan. And they even to this day they should be in their late 20s. They still look damn near identical. So I've never seen the same sex not be identical. So that's interesting to me. Oh, wait.
Yeah, I don't know how rare that is, but I think I've seen it before. But yeah.
Yeah, I've seen it before. I just think it's funny how like apparently people love to sexualize twins. So like there's always twins and like anime and
you can't say wincest without twincest.
So the funny thing is like, so these twins are named Sarah and what's her name, the other one is named Nina, and like so Sarah is the older one and Nina is going on a school trip, and also May and Yuzu's class are going on a school trip, but Yuzu is late because she's her, and Sarah is late because she was trying to buy like this limited edition like necklace, like little thing for Yuzu. And so Sarah and Yuzu for Nina. So Sarah and Yuzu end up like meeting at the train station, and they're like, oh, we're both going to the same place. Let's ride the train together. And they end up like going around Kyoto together because that's where the school trip is, but like they can't meet up with the rest of the class. They're always like a step behind. And it's funny because they go to like Fushimi Inari and like the Imperial Palace and like Golden Pavilion. And like Yuzu really opens up to Sarah. Sarah is like a really nice girl, honestly. And Yuzu tells her like all about May, like her stepsister. Like she trusts Sarah with this information for whatever reason. And Sarah like cheers her up and tells her not to worry about it and just like tells her like, you're too kind and I'm sure your sister knows you're kind and she'll be forgiving. But okay, I was like, this is CiTRASH though. Like this all has to get fucked up and go downhill immediately, right? So they get back to the hotel, and as soon as like Yuzu runs off to go look for May, like Sarah meets her sister Nina, and then May comes outside, and Sarah had been talking to Yuzu about how like at the train station in Tokyo or Osaka, wherever they were, she had seen some really hot girl who she has a crush on, and it was May, of course. So Sarah has a crush on May, so that's gonna be a whole thing now. And like, yeah, at the end of this episode, there's just like this scene where Mei and Yuzu finally talk to each other, and Yuzu tells her like, hey, I was just really scared that night. Like, I think that we went too far for sisters as in terms of intimacy. And to me, I was just like, well, duh, like you've been doing that the entire series. But apparently Yuzu is putting her foot down.
We're not blood related.
And for whatever reason, like Nina is there. She overhears this conversation, so I'm sure she'll tell Sarah about it. But yeah,
I just love how every single girl in this series is gay. They all want to fuck each other.
Every single one, yeah.
So I googled same-sex, non-identical twins, and what I came up with is twins can be either monozygotic, which is identical, meaning that they develop from one zygote, which splits and forms two embryos. Mm-hmm. The other thing is dizygotic, which is the fraternal, meaning that they develop from two different eggs.
Right.
And in infernal twins, each twin is fertilized by its own sperm cell. So that's the difference. And from the image search, they're not exactly identical, but they're pretty similar. They're more closer to, like, you know, you look at one sister to another sister, you're like, yeah, you can tell they came from the same parents, but like it's even like just a little bit closer than that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is what from I can gather. So
and
that was
now
interesting.
You know, G.I. Joe.
Hey, we like to be an informative group.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's good.
Don't you all feel like you learned a lot today, listeners?
Exactly.
Well, I hope you did. Anyway, I think that's it. Anybody else got anything to say?
No, I think we're good.
All right.
That was it for this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you for listening. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe to us on YouTube. Get updates on new podcasts or videos. Remember, drop us a review on iTunes. Kat will say it in a very sexy voice if you do.
Yes.
And follow us on Twitter at Nerdom and Other for updates as well. And otherwise, we will see you next week. Peace.
Peace.
Yep. Later.